Guys, I'm not going to be talking too much to y'all in the YouTube streets. I'm going to be commentating live on the WCQ2 GOAT format tournament. So that's where my attention is mainly going to be. But if y'all want to hang out,
for the first match, we're going to go to
tune in.
Let's do Grimjaw versus Fold'em Up.
Grimjaw versus Fold'em Up.
Okay. They're not up yet. Let's see who's up already.
We've got Moxis, Serikaisen, Don't Copy, Dr. Goose, John Wicks, Done Zero.
I've heard that name Moxie's quite a bit. He's one of the stronger players in the GOAT pool?
Yeah, we'll do Moxie's.
Sure. Let's do Moxis. We're watching Moxis and...
Hold on, it's still working on turning it live. I'll do it.
Oh, the stream is not on yet? Okay.
It is now.
It is now? Alright.
Okay, so welcome guys. We are back here from GoFormat.com with the World Championship Qualifier 2. This is a Patreon exclusive tournament. Today we have on commentary Shonen Jump champion Ryan Spicer. We also have the Viking GOAT Lucas and myself here, Scully. So we're starting off with Moxies versus... You tell me this other name, Lucas.
Serikaisen is my guess.
Serikaisen.
So, as usual when Moxis is playing, the turn 1 play is reinforcements of the army, but this time not from the side of Moxis. Interested to use reinforcements and then not summon whatever you're adding.
Yeah, we did miss whatever he grabbed.
Yeah, did you get to see what he grabbed?
No, we did right before.
I was not paying attention.
Yeah.
So one reason to use reinforcements of the army when you're not gonna summon the monster is because maybe it's your last target left in the deck and you don't want to draw it because when reinforcements is dead. But a bit curious as to why they would use it there.
Yeah, and also it gives away information additionally when you search out something preemptive like that, and you also limit your own options when you pre-decide what you're gonna get before seeing what your opponent does.
Yeah, usually not the play you would make. We did add a Sinister Serpent with the Sangan, which is interesting. We don't see Sinister Serpent being played alongside reinforcements of the army very much. Interesting inclusion of Noblemen of Extermination here.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, great bluff for Moxie's, baiting out the removal with the Nobleman set, because once you see Warriors, you kind of know your Noblemans are going to be pretty dead the rest of the game.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
That's a very nice play. But here we go, there's a set monster. So, well, against reinforcements of the army, Nobleman is not usually very good. But it is usually pretty good against Sinister Serpent.
What do y'all think
about...
And
that's a great mirror force.
What do y'all think about Moxie extending like that into so early, just putting it out there to get mirror forced? To me, that's
a bit weird.
What's that?
A bit weird, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a play I definitely wouldn't be making typically because, I'm gonna try to play around those kind of cards.
I think Moxis is on the other side of the coin there. I'm definitely with you. But Moxis just wants to force the opponent to have it. And if they do have it, well, now they don't anymore. So that's something. Wow, that's an aggressive judgment. Really cool. Also, the warrior decks, sometimes they just clog on monsters. And if you can just get them out of your hand, that's good enough. But yeah, this is obviously a nightmare scenario for Moxis.
None of that. The one other option I was considering as well, that set card could have been a torrential tribute as well. That they could have been a board wipe card, so that way they went aggressive and didn't care if they lost the resources. That was the other scenario I could have considered in that case.
But we did see him search out Sinister, so if he had torrential, I mean,
yeah,
there's two cards that are board wiping.
Yeah, very very true.
So Moxes would need some sort of back row here in order to stay in this game. I don't think summoning a monster every turn is going to be enough. There's a Chaos Sorcerer though,
That could make sense why he decided to overextend, just to,
for sure.
if he has it, then he has it, and then Surukaizen can follow up, get aggressive, and then he can drop the sorcerer. So that could be part of his thought process.
And welcome Gate Guardian 44 onto commentary. Going to take over for my part of it for right now.
Gate Guardian.
Glad to be on.
Gate Guardian. That name sounds really familiar to me. Why is that?
Ryan Spicer. it's been part of the old guard, Ryan. It's been a while.
You used to did you used to write articles?
I did. Yep. Wrote for metagame.com. I was the Pojo mod, and I did a lot of everything. Still in the game. Still in it.
You playing the current meta, or
Yeah, well, I do. I haven't played in about a couple months, maybe just because the pandemic's been slowing everything down a little bit. But other than that, yeah, I still haven't. I still haven't quit. I'm still part.
gotcha?
Nice to have you on board, Ryan.
Yes, it's nice to be here. Scully reached out to me last night and sounded like a lot of fun. So happy to be here.
Of course, and you've been a big player, Ben, especially back in the old days. So it's nice to get another recognizable face here on Goat format.
Yeah, I'm all about what's going on with it. I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think there's a lot of potential in goats and retro Yu-Gi-Oh in general. So
Definitely.
glad to support it.
So Sir Kaisen's turn to run into the Mirror Force, but that's not as big of a deal, as the snatched stolen Chaos Sorcerer is quite fragile as it is. Is this the Serpent one? Yeah.
Chaos Warriors seem to have been performing really well in a lot of the tournaments lately. Like something I really like about the Chaos Warriors is like how tempo based they are, and I feel like they draw a little bit less cloggy hands. Whereas like Chaos Turbo, Chaos Control, sometimes you draw a lot of cards where they really do rely on other cards like Regeki breaks. If you don't have your discard engine ready, or sorcerer stuff like that, there's a lot of hands where you can get kind of bricky, and it's kind of led me to believe that Chaos Warrior might be like a stronger deck than Chaos Turbo or like Chaos Control and stuff.
Yeah, the Warriors have been performing recently, for sure.
It kind
And
of
it's true that it's by far the more consistent deck.
it kind of reminds me of like Gladiator Beast versus like Lightsworn, where Lightsworn was like powerful and stuff, but it was just like way too inconsistent to be the best deck of the format. And that's why you saw like a lot of the better players using Gladiator Beasts. And it's kind of like the same parallel I draw with Chaos Warrior versus the Chaos Turbo, Chaos Control decks.
Because you have a lot of cards in the Chaos Warrior deck, at least, or the War Control, that have a lot of standalone cards that could just perform really well. They don't require any
Exactly.
synergy with each other per se. They can just do really well with just like one card on its own, as opposed to other decks that need like 2-3 card combos to be able to get going, or at least have the optimum combos.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at.
Oh wow!
Ooh, look at
Double
this.
enemy controller. This deck is really interesting. Double enemy controller, Nobleman of Extermination, Sinister Serpent, along with the Warrior Engine. Very cool.
What do you think about enemy controller?
I haven't seen it much, but people who are much better than me at this format are using it every now and then. So I think there's potential, but it doesn't see much play, and I honestly haven't used it much myself.
Summon the sorcerer for the beatdown.
Chaos Sorcerer as well. This seems a bit bricky running enemy controllers, Chaos Monsters, the Serpent.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's
I
a
agree.
Chiron the Mage in this build with all these extra spells.
That would be cool. Maybe there's Royal Decree.
True.
No,
That's...
you can't do that along with the judgment.
Oh, yeah, good point. And also, Nobleman of Extermination probably doesn't perform super well with Royal
Sure,
Decree.
sure.
So,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah. It's a good try, though.
It's interesting to see Nobleman of Extermination because a lot of players have been using Dust Tornadoes for the main decks.
I think Dust Tornado is a better card in general than Nobleman, just because it hits things like Snatch Steal, Call the Haunted, Premature.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of issues with Nobleman of Extermination. Even though I do like the card, I think
I
it's
would
really
agree.
cool.
But it is picking up in popularity. A few months ago, you wouldn't see like people play it ever, but now
So he's going for a
it's
right.
often in the side deck,
I think
especially in these warrior decks.
Sirka hasn't got a BLS in hand. If he's no, huh? I guess he couldn't play BLS anyway.
So why do you go for Ryusenshi? To dodge Sakuretsu, I guess.
Yeah.
It's weird because he did have that set card last turn too, and he didn't activate on the attack of Chaos Sorcerer. So I wouldn't have read Sakuret's armor. If that was Saku, I would have played it immediately in that situation. So really odd to go to Ryusenshi in that case.
Playing around Snatch
Yeah.
Steal.
I mean, it doesn't
I
really make
suppose.
any sense though, because I mean, he could have got something to negate a face down, or I don't know, like why Ryu Senshi? Like why not Dark Bolter? Or I guess you can't do Dark Bolter.
No, but Bolter is level
yeah,
5.
yeah. You're right.
So
yeah, but
with the level
still.
6 toolbox, you can't negate, right?
I think Snatch Steal is the only card I can think of is for why it's
I actually think I like the meta, because without the Serpent, it's not getting much better, you could argue. I don't hate it at least. Wow, and it got there. Very nice.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point though. It does dodge Snatch Steal, which is a top deck, and then I don't think Moxie had a light in graveyard, so
No, he didn't.
his chaos monsters off lock, and then Moxie probably runs like Solomon stuff, right? Because
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
you know, he can't
You
use
can't negate
so
Solemn with Senshi though.
right. I see, I know that, but I'm saying if
Solemn would have actually screwed him if it was set because he would have had to offer the. He still would have had to offer the sorcerer.
that's
and
exactly what
meta
I
would
was
be
getting
gone.
at. I'm saying like
Oh
if
yeah,
he
so it's very risky playing that meta.
Well, not necessarily, because Moxie might have used Solemn on the Chaos Sorcerer initially. So like playing the meta preemptively would be like basically dodging like a Solemn on a later turn if he was to wait to use it. So I think it kind of makes sense actually.
I think it's fine. Just dodging Snatch Steal alone, I think, is cool if you do have the read that there isn't a judgment set as of the moment you use it.
The issue though is, I mean, there was 2 Blade Knight already gone and a Rhoda gone, so you're looking at Snatch Steal. You lose the game if he does it. Maybe he gets to the Blade Knight with a reinforcements or draws a third and they crash.
But
So,
there's
yeah, I guess-
also Did War Lady, so that doesn't make much sense to me.
But all of those cards, you don't lose the game like you do to Snatch Steal.
Yeah, so I think the meta is justifiable, even in the face of Blade Knight.
Yeah, unless the meta got Solemn, I think it was a pretty good play.
Yeah, I like
It's your
it.
biggest risk.
Mox is on the play here. Goes for the 1 Graceful, which has been a discussion between Warrior players recently. Should you use the Graceful turn 1 or not? Some think you should dig to find your Trap Dust Shoots. Others say that the Warrior deck is reactive enough that you want to wait until you actually need something, and that's when you use the Charity. But of course, every now and then you're gonna open a bunch of monsters and have nothing to set behind them. And Graceful is pretty good there.
Yeah, I think I'm
Could
on
also be a result of a luster hand.
I think I'm definitely on the train of using Charity immediately. If you're running a deck that doesn't like interact with it, like, you know, Chaos Flip runs like flips and, you know, Thunder Dragons and stuff, obviously, so you might want to hold off on it. But I think in a Warrior deck, like you're not really gonna net the +1s, so probably digging for your dust shoots and also like fading duo and stuff is probably pretty nice. Although
Another
Moxie,
interesting question is, Did Moxis keep the dust shoots?
He likely sided him out. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, why would you Warrior? In the Warrior matchup, like hands get down so quickly. He probably took him out.
Yeah, I would think so. But it's not obvious that Sir Kaisen is all that committed to Warriors. Maybe it's just a Warrior engine. But yeah, I think Moxis should have taken them out.
Also really peculiar too. He discarded DD Warrior Lady and Kaiku with that Graceful Charity, a Light in the Dark, but then
Yeah.
had no monster summon to open up the turn. Peculiar.
Yeah, so Moxis was thinking that Kaiko is not an issue because we have the Mirror Force.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Mirror Force was dealt with. And once again, we saw Sir Kaisen
That-
use the reinforcement and not summon the Warrior.
yeah.
And I
that-
think this does mean that the Warrior toolbox is very small, and they don't want to draw their last target.
With the way that Moxie was playing, you think he'd top deck that Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke?
I don't know whether or not to play a Warrior Turn 1 is also a very common discussion among Warrior players, and it's very hard to tell whether or not you should do it.
I think the most likely scenario that happened there is Moxie has a Chaos monster in hand, and he wasn't going to use a Mirror Force on whatever Serukaizen summoned. He was just going to let the attack go through, and then he was going to drop the Sorcerer. But Serukaizen had the Kaiku, so I think that kind of like messed him up a little bit.
Yeah, the MSD Kaiko was very unfortunate there, if that is what Moxis was thinking. So what do we do here? We set 3 and we summon a Blade Knight. If we can't do that... Alright. This does look a bit weak. Do they have the Donsalug as well? No, nothing to follow it up with. So does Moxis just not have any monsters? Or are they all Chaos monsters?
He's
Like,
holding. He's definitely holding onto the
Snatch,
Chaos.
Sorcerer, BLS. Is that the hand?
Ooh,
There's a dust shoot.
There's a
Interesting.
dust shoot. Yeah, he might have kept it in because he was going first as well.
Yeah, it's better when you go first. Also, Sir Kaisen was running Serpent and some synergistic cards along with the
Oh,
Serpent.
you're right.
And we saw the Chaos
Yeah.
Sorcerer.
Yeah.
So once you see Chaos Sorcerer and Serpent, you immediately start thinking Thunder Dragon. So it's not obvious.
Yeah,
Oh, snipes the VLS. Wow, that's huge. Really good.
yeah, that was good. That might have been the game.
So are we gonna see the XL Force there? No, the Blade Knight. So the last card in hand is the XL Forceman. Unless I misremember.
No, that's right.
And Moxie still doesn't have Chaos. Also
that does
interesting. Wow,
That-
that's nice.
Wow.
Ouch. What
That
interesting.
I
does
wonder
shoot- let Zero get up to boost Blade Knight, and then Moxie was able to follow that up with a Heavy Storm.
That was actually quite nicely engineered.
And
So we did see the double meta.
And we know Seru has an exiled force in hand from the reinforcement of the army played after the first turn from reinforcement of the army. There it comes
See,
down
this is
now.
a- This is an example, though, of like why using the reinforcement like preemptively like that is kind of an issue because you don't really know what you're gonna need. It's gonna depending on how the game pans out, it's gonna change on like what you want to search for. And right now, just summoning Exiled Force to swing is like a little bit weak in my opinion. So
Quite awful. Speaking of awful, this Nobleman of Extermination, definitely not what Sir Kaisen wanted to happen.
yeah, agreed.
So, I think Moxis has like Chaos Monster Snatch Steal. Wow, he uses the Torrential.
He's desperate.
So maybe
yeah.
not Snatch.
He's got a Sorcerer BLS for sure. So yeah, he's.
I mean, you could claim that there's a Nobleman of Crossout as well. Depending on whether or not
You think he keeps it
he
in?
kept it in. I don't know. I mean, we kept the Dust Shoot, so...
Yeah. I mean, Zero Kaizen is playing meta, so we can probably conclude he's playing at least Magician of Faith for some flips. So
Yeah. But we didn't see the meta last game. But we did see enemy
No,
control
we
as soon
did-
as a serpent, so you would think that implies the existence of meta, but you really don't know, especially in these early rounds against lesser known players.
He metamorphosed his Chaos Sorcerer, so we did see it.
Oh yeah, he did.
Cool.
Sorry, my bad. Oh wow, that's so strong. And yeah, at this point, I think I'm convinced that it is
Karibo.
Chaos Sorcerer plus ELF in hand.
Ooh.
You see this Karibo play?
Wow.
Oh,
Ryan, I definitely agree with you that there has to be some kind of chaos monster in Moxie's hand, especially with the first time we saw Graceful Trade discarding a light and a dark, like
Yeah.
getting it locked and loaded, and then didn't summon a monster for several turns afterwards, and using Premature Burial as kind of like an act of desperation is the best way to put it. And I definitely agree that there's got to be a chaos monster in Moxie's hand somewhere.
And I think there's two, because the Blade Knight should have swung for 2000 if it could, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, but I really think I really like Moxie's turn one play, especially like I mean I don't know who Zero Kaizen is, but it seems like he might be the kind of guy who would summon like a just a vulnerable creature like turn one, and being able to follow up with an early sorcerer like that could have been like super like crippling. So I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. I really like
You
Moxie's turn one
banish
play.
here? I think you banish here. Doesn't banish. Interesting.
Well, I think Zero Kaizen kind of needs to like slow it down, so I think the wall's pretty nice here.
But
And-
I don't think it's a very effective wall.
well, until Moxie's gets a Dark in the Grave, I don't know.
I would
I
rather
hear
just
you.
trade it for the Blade Knight to avoid. If
Yeah,
this is a
this-
Sasuke, I mean, it probably isn't, but if it is, I don't think Moxis is the kind of guy to play double Sasuke.
It would be pretty sweet though
No,
if you did.
So what does this mean? Oh, we're just gonna set the Dansalug. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
He wants the dark in the graveyard to lock and load the chaos monster he's been holding since turn one, as we were predicting.
And the reason to set the Dansalug rather than just holding it is also because eventually maybe this Blade Knight could get up to 2000. Tsukiyomi is great here, right?
It's pretty nice.
So Moxis has the judgment then, or Moxis maybe wants Zerkaisen to think so.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Wait, why do you switch the lady? Oh, they want to
I
banish
like
the Dansalug. I like that. That's really cool.
yes.
Nice. There's no mirror force. So yeah.
I wonder if Zero
I mean, it's so awful if it's a Socrates armor.
Yeah.
Okay. They got away with it.
He didn't banish it.
Oh.
He did not banish it.
Banish.
What?
So I don't think Zero Kaizen has made the connection that Moxie clearly has a chaos monster in hand.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, this is bad.
This is
And this is
awful.
good. This is going to strip that Tsukiyomi out of the hand with Don's Luke. Blade Knight's going to come down. And this still keeps Don's Luke alive and, willing to hit the graveyard in this situation. So not a good look here for Seru.
This is actually a really cool like showcase of I guess the skill that's available in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like because I think maybe Zero Kaizen made a misstep there and Moxie was able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, especially since DD Warrior was turned to attack mode, which made it, take down in battle
Yeah.
from Blade Knight as opposed to keeping defense. There was no need to keep that up in attack mode unless there was going to banish Don's Luke.
Yeah, this game just swung wide open because now as soon as that Don's Lug dies, Moxie's like completely live. So
Yeah, that DD Warrior was supposed to be like the answer to like keeping the chaos monsters at bay, and opted not to take it.
And the Tsukiyomi could have dealt with the Blade Knight.
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
swordsman,
too.
that swordsman level 2 definitely needs to be in the side deck in this match. Like it needs to be out of the main.
Yeah, for sure.
He kept Nobleman in as well.
Yeah. I guess Moxie's is considering a solemn right now.
Yeah, but Also has to be careful not to get Ring of Destruction after the Solemn.
Yeah.
That's one way to lose a game. But yeah, Graceful is scary.
If I did have a Solemn, I would just let it go and then Solemn whatever the potential threat could be in this case.
I agree for sure.
Because that card you draw may not be an actual threat at all, and you can save your Solemn Judgment for something else. And
Yeah.
worst
The
case scenario, it's going to be something.
For sure. The difference between Gracefuling with 0 cards in hand opposed to Gracefuling with 1 or 2 cards in hand is so huge. I think if there was another card in Sir Kaiser's hand when the Graceful was played, maybe the Solemn would have been flipped.
Yeah, this is definitely a case for Red Solemn here.
Yeah.
So, can Moxis beat the ring? That's the question. Moxis is known to have cut Book of Moons recently, unless he put them back in.
Speaking of Book of Moon, I filmed a video recently on the Clash of Champions tournament coming up, and I think Book of Moon is going to be a card that's really good for that specific event, just because I think the caliber of player is going to be like pretty good, and I would expect to see a little bit more metamorphosis and flip stuff going on. So I think Book of Moon might be a good option over things like Sakuretsu, just to deal with things like Thousand Eyes Restrict. And
Interesting take. I definitely agree that the level of play should be a lot higher, but doesn't that also mean that they should be playing better decks?
yeah, and I guess like the reason in my mind, better decks is basically going to be a lot of Chaos Warrior and Chaos Turbo / Chaos Control / Go Control decks. So because of that,
Because I thought the Chaos Control was established to be a weaker deck than Warriors and Turbo.
well, what do you? Maybe we're speaking of. Maybe we're just like using different terminology because I'm not as integrated in the community. Like when I might be just calling Chaos Turbo, Chaos Control kind of the same thing. In my mind, they're basically the same thing.
The distinction is the inclusion of Metamorphosis and Scapegoat.
I gotcha. Well, I know from my personal experience, my Chaos Control decks, I've been playing often like one Metamorphosis, and then I kind of go back and forth on using a single Scapegoat. I'm not a huge fan of Scapegoat in general, but I think it does have some merit, especially if you're playing like a single creature swap or something.
For
But-
sure.
But just in general, I think Book of Moon has a lot of versatility, and like also with a lot of the old school players returning to play in that specific tournament. I think I'm guessing a lot of them haven't played a lot of modern Yu-Gi-Oh, so they might be drawing on their memory from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where like Goat Control was incredibly popular. It was like the main thing. So they might just like automatically be playing Goat Control or something along those lines, which I think Book of Moon goes way up in value.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm actually really interested
So this game, I mean, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm really interested that Moxie's is playing Swords of Revealing Light in the mirror match, or not in a mirror match, but in this instance, it's kind of an interesting pick to me. It's something I wouldn't have considered.
It's quite interesting to leave in the dust shoots and board in the swords, because I feel like those are conflicting in the matchups where you want them.
I think Moxie's was kind of caught off guard by this deck game one and just put in a mesh of different things, not knowing what this deck really is.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
for
I do
sure.
like seeing something different. Alright, 1-1. So let's see if Sirikaisen can manage to pull off game 3 here. I would like to see an upset. I love Moxes, and I like to think they were good friends, but I mean, seeing Metamorphosis win is a guilty pleasure of mine, for sure.
Wonder how Moxie felt being able to drop that Chaos Sorcerer after likely having it in his hand like the entire game, and just had trouble just getting Light and Darks into the grave to load it up for him.
Yeah, he had to work for that one, for sure.
I think the turning point in that game was the DD Warrior Tsukiyomi play, where she's shifting out DD Warrior to attack mode and attacking Danzu, but not banishing it. I think that was one of the turning points because that allowed the Blade Knight to get through the DD Warrior and then
Yeah.
Danzu able to strip the Tsukiyomi out of the hand.
Yeah, that was really
So
crucial.
Let's see if Surakaisen decides to side out the Mystic Swordsman and the Nobleman of Crossheart this time around.
I would
And
definitely like
maybe
to see
Moxties
that.
decides not to use the Dust Root now, being on the draw.
So you were telling me Chaos Control has kind of become known as like not being like the tier 0 deck. Like, could you kind of go into that a little bit more for me? Because I'm kind of interested to hear that. It's a little bit.
I think a lot of players would consider Turbo and Chaos Warriors to be slightly better.
Just like the pure Chaos Turbo without those extra cards.
Without Scapegoat or Metamorphosis.
I gotcha. It's just because of the consistency issues. Like, if you're running Chaos Control, you just have a lot of cards that rely on other cards, so you can draw a lot of bricks.
Why that is, I think, differ. But yeah, consistency is definitely a thing, for sure. But, I mean, basically it's just tournament performance, I feel. But at the same time, there are people who still swear by Chaos Control, and it's still a good deck. But I think most of us agree that right now it seems Turbo is slightly stronger.
Yeah, I mean, tournament results say a lot about a deck, because consistency is incredibly important.
Then there's also the other now that Warriors have been picking up so much in popularity and have been doing so well. Maybe you do want to run a deck with Scapegoat. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Then again, Turbo has those multiple copies of Gravekeeper Spy that are also good. And these cards obviously clash a bit in deck construction. It's hard to put both Spy and Scapegoat into the same deck.
We saw Zombies win the FLC last weekend.
That was really cool.
Because of the lack of Scapegoat and Metamorphosis in the meta.
Yeah.
So
I heard about that actually. You said what is FLC?
is the
Format
Library Championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to Goat format.
Is that's separate from GOAT format?
Yep, it's like a sister site though. That tournament was for Worlds. First and second got Worlds invites for Go Format Worlds.
Okay.
They also host other retro formats.
It's format library.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, someone on one of my YouTube videos mentioned the zombie deck winning, and I didn't find it because I just looked straight on GOAT format.
Yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the Format Library Discord. If you like GOAT format, obviously, the goatformat.com Discord is the place to be. But if you still haven't had enough, then the Format Library Discord GOAT channel is also very active and has lots of fun people in it. Lots of overlap between the sites as well. So, what's going on here? We got the Scapegoat enemy controller synergy. Was enemy controller used to deal 1500 damage?
That's exactly what happened right now. So a very peculiar move, didn't do anything with it, and gave DD Warrior right back.
Yeah, that doesn't.
We have seen a few questionable plays from Surakaisen already.
A lot of unorthodox deck choices and moves.
Oh, it goes for the full 5 GOAT tokens. So this is Exodia, right?
My guess is though that Surakaisen's deck and gameplay is probably really throwing off someone like Moxie's.
For sure. For sure.
Like Moxie's likes to think turns ahead, know the meta, does like all the research, and to be playing against a deck that he doesn't know what the next card or play is going to be, I'm sure is unsettling.
And here we go, another 1500.
I don't know if unsettling is the right word, but I'll keep
I
it.
mean-
I'm gonna leave it there.
I think this is great. This is great entertainment. Very cool to see. I want to see like a magic cylinder be flipped eventually. That would be a fun way to wrap things up.
Yeah, the enemy controller burn.
I mean, I also this might be partially why Moxis did decide to include the Swords of Revealing Lights, because I guess enemy controller, when you're playing a deck with Solemn Judgment, maybe you just die later on in the game. So once you have control, the swords could be nice to have, a bit of a cushion, so to speak, not to just die to a random
Yeah.
enemy controller being flipped.
Yeah, it was actually something too I thought about with the swords on board is it's kind of cool when you're playing warriors and stuff because a lot of times your warriors are like a little bit vulnerable because of their stats. So if you have if you have swords on board, like it's kind of tough if you can't swing over them.
And there we see the nobleman once again, combining well with the Tsukiyomi, of course. Goes with the ring, so that implies that there perhaps isn't any secrets armor.
Well, he did discard
Or-
one already off the Graceful Charity opening turn.
You could also argue that if you have a bunch of Solemn Judgment, maybe you just want to get rid of the ring. Make use of it before your life points are all too low.
Yeah. I think Moxie's definitely has at least a solemn judgment down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played Heavy Storm to start his turn, then set 3 back row or 4 to open it up. So he definitely had no fear of a Heavy Storm coming down on Seru's end. And you can probably bet that one of those 3 cards is a Solemn Judgment.
Unfortunately for Moxis, it appears we're not running Matassa the Sapper, which would be really good here. Also a quite poor card, but in this exact scenario, that would have been nice.
So is this tournament is it a single elimination tournament or a double?
Double elimination.
Double.
Okay, so two losses and you're out. That's kind of a cool structure. I like that.
It kind of feels like how you are back in the days of playing a Shonen Jump Championship. It's pretty much 2 losses and you're out, with the very rare occasion that someone might get in on that.
It's very similar to a Swiss tournament.
It's
in that regard.
It's double elimination and then it's cut to is there a cut or
No cut.
no cut? It's just play. Okay, and then
So it's basically because of the administration is so easy because everything just flows.
yeah, and
There
then
are no timing matches or anything like that.
I like that a lot. Yeah. And then I guess the software takes care of like randomizing and matching people, or I guess there's a bracket, or yeah,
There is a bracket, yeah.
What's that?
We seed it based on other previous tournament.
So every player has a ranking.
Oh, so your ranking affects who you play?
Yeah, in the first rounds. So
Interesting.
Moxis is a high ranking, so he gets to play someone with a lower ranking.
Moxie's actually does not have a high ranking.
Well,
So-
he's 14th. That's
Yeah.
upper half, barely.
But yeah, the people with the highest rankings got buys the first round as well because of it. The
Oh,
other
that's
advantage of
interesting.
doing double elimination, Ryan, is like say in Swiss now if you go undefeated but you can get to the finals of the tournament and lose to someone that's already lost twice, they win the tournament. In double elimination, if you get to the finals undefeated, then your opponent has to beat you twice before they can win the tournament.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I do like that. That's pretty cool. I will say I don't really like the I lost my train of thought with everything going on right now. There's a solemn war going on.
So this is quite cool. Sirkaisen could steal this game still. Sirkaisen is behind, but not by that much.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say that the BLS there would have been quite strong.
My thought
That
returned
was
to me. I was just gonna say, like, I'm not necessarily a fan of the your ranking affecting on who you play. Like, I personally think like a random structure would be good, but I'm not the one in control, so.
I mean, it's basically random. That's the thing, because Mox is one of the top players and still middle of the pack in the ranking list. It's just,
It
I
does
think it's a
create.
nice feature. You don't have the two best players knocking each other out in the first round. We'll save that for the second round instead.
Yeah. I mean, it does create an incentive at the same
Oh,
time.
but there's the Kaiku. All right, there you go. Moxis did manage to finish this game off. And yeah, there was the dead nobleman. Maybe in the future, Sirkaisen could consider siding us out when playing against a warrior deck. Something to keep in mind.
Fun first round match though.
Very fun. Very fun to see someone innovating, daring to go against the norm. So, are we moving
I,
into another match?
Yeah, let's check out
I
John
was
Wick versus Nick Bai.
For sure.
I was definitely rooting for the guy playing Karibo. I will say that.
For sure.
So John Wick is Chris Ivan Flores. I don't know if you remember him, Ryan.
I do remember Flores. Yeah, I remember that guy. He was fun. I have a good memory of him. Like first time playing in the Shonen Jump Championship outside of Texas. It was in Orlando, Florida. I remember running into him there, and he left a good impression on me. I liked him a lot. What's the match we're looking for?
John
John
Wick
Wick.
against Nick and Bai.
John Wick. Got it.
So, John is doing very well here. Nick down to only 200 life points left. And it would appear we have another warrior
Another
mirror.
warrior. Yeah. It's funny. Like I was looking.
Oh. And yeah, that's the problem with playing Trap Dust Shoot in your warrior decks nowadays. With Chaos declining in popularity and the rise of warrior, maybe it's time to move our Dust Shoots to the side again. Very interesting to see so many people on warrior, apparently.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of where I've been heading to through my testing and stuff. Is like Warrior Chaos is kind of been the front runner in my mind. Like if I was to compete in a tournament, I would probably choose that deck as well, just for the consistency purposes. So I would expect if you're a strong player like Flores, then I'm not surprised to see him choose that.
Those who don't know, Christopher Flores, he is the Shonen Jump Durham champion, beating out Jason Holloway in the finals. Two very big names there back in the day.
Yeah, Jason Holloway.
Down with
I actually
Texas.
was talking to him a couple days ago. I haven't talked to him in a while, and he called me up, and he's actually running he has a card store in Texas now called Limitless Games, and I guess it's been going really well, and he was always like a super entertaining guy. I grew up traveling with him, and I don't know how well y'all know him, but he's definitely one of the he's what you would call a cartoon. Like he is a cartoon human. He's a different breed, that's for sure.
He's definitely a really calculated player. I've seen him play, live in front of me, and he's a dangerous, dangerous player. Jason Holloway is.
Yeah,
Bring you into the deep trenches of time.
he definitely had a
Are
reputation.
you still residing in Texas?
Well, I'm in Florida. Yeah, I left the Lone
Oh,
Star.
you're in Florida now. Okay.
Yeah, I left the Lone Star State about 7 years ago, and I live.
Oh, okay, got it.
I live about a mile from the Gulf Coast in the ocean, so it's pretty nice.
Big change of pace for you.
It's I love it. Florida's a great place to be.
Few states I would love to visit. I need to cross off my bucket list sometime.
What are those?
So now,
So-
Not a bad
Oh,
spot for
to
John Wick
visit
here.
Texas and Florida. Those are two states I'd love to visit.
You do not mind looking at a face down, no back row, playing Warriors usually is gonna have an answer for it. We'll see if he does.
But in the Warrior Mirror, swordsmen and noblemen are usually sided out, so not as easy to answer a set monster as it would have been in game 1.
I'm gonna drop a light and dark.
He
here, too.
instant dropped the light too, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah. There's the 2k Blade Knight. Let's see.
See if it's a Sangan, that would be probably the best case scenario for Nick.
Warrior Lady? Yeah. That's a classic.
Just as good.
Game 2, playing with the Warrior Mirror on the play. If you open the lady, you set the lady, and you're so happy because you actually have a good turn 1 play for once. So, do we see the storm? Yes. Judgment? Yes. What's the best follow-up here? I guess just summon a monster and attack.
I'd like to see Don Zalug come out here just to start baiting out those back
I want
rows,
the
but
cliff.
There is no hand.
Maybe a
Usually.
cliff.
Nowadays, people side out the Donsalug for the cliff in the side deck
I do like Cliff the Trap Remover a lot.
to have another dark target. But it would appear Nick perhaps doesn't have either of them, which I also think is a viable choice. Mirror Force used there, so the last set
Be right
from
back,
John
guys.
Wick unlikely to be a battle trap. Another Rota. Assume it's going to be another Blade Knight.
That'll be number 3.
Let's see here. So John Wick's, the card to the right that was not flipped when we used the Mirror Force could be a Judgment, but we didn't flip it here. I would have thought they would. Oh. Is this a Torrential? That would be sick if they held on to it. What's going on here? Did
That
we
looks
top
good.
deck the Battle Trap?
And there's no Mirror Force either.
Yeah, we must have top decked the Battle Trap one.
Perhaps
No,
the Book of
Nick.
Moon?
Don't let it get into your head. I don't know. Most people don't play Book of Moon in the Warrior Mirror. You often say, "Wow!" and he didn't swing. Maybe John Wick got away with something with the mind game there. But yeah, this should be over. I don't see how John Wick survives. Why do you
Oh.
flip it?
Weird, going to defense mode knowing that Mirror Force is already in the graveyard too, so this is...
What if there
Imagine-
was a top deck Torrential?
Yeah, jeez.
What? There's the top deck Battle Trap. Nick read the Sagaretsa top deck and was right. Whoa, that was so much going on. Wow, that was really cool. That was nice to see. Nick did get there in the end, but yeah, that was close.
way to get to that path.
Hey guys, for y'all just
I
tuning
mean,
in,
I
or
don't
just hanging
see
out.
any reason to switch
This
to
is a
DLS.
live
Yeah,
commentary
in
of
that
the
particular
WCQ2
situation, yeah, I agree.
two
Mirror Force was already
tournament
gone
that's
at
taking
that
place, hosted by GoatFormat.com. So
Did get there in the end.
I'm not going to be talking too much to the stream because I'm going to be focused on the commentary and interacting with the other hosts.
And I
But,
think
thanks
that
for hanging out. Like this video,
the
leave some comments,
set-
hop into the chat,
Spell a trap
and
that John Wick was sitting on all that
we'll
time.
be
Could
here
definitely
probably
have
until about
been
4
a
o'clock. So it's going to be a
Nobleman
long stream.
delinquent to chap dash shoot or
But
something of
it
that sort.
looks like the game's
But
about to
this was
start,
game
so
2,
we're
so
gonna
those
hop
cards
back
shouldn't
into
be in the deck. So it's very interesting
commentary.
what that could have been. Perhaps just a spell trap removal. But that would have been able to pop the premature. Very weird. Nobleman of Extermination, perhaps?
I'm curious to see what's going to happen in this game here. Those two, couple odd plays indeed, to say the least. But now we're going to game 3, and I wonder if Flores is going to be able to pull himself out of this match.
Being on the play definitely positive. Chawan graceful also positive.
My money bet is definitely on Ivan.
For sure.
I think Ivan is at one stage was like a DJ or something. I saw on Facebook. He got bust into the music industry for a little bit.
Discards 2 monsters, as the warrior deck often does, doesn't want to clog on those. This time not a light and a dark, only the light. Of course, not too many dark monsters are very good in the warrior mirror post side. Sets a monster, could that be the warrior lady?
What do y'all think about leaving
Dropping.
in the Ninja Grandmaster in the mirror match?
It's often good enough, because you have so many cards to take out and you only have so many to bring in. And sometimes you want to fetch a light, but Blade Knight is 1600, and you want to fetch something bigger, and then Sasuke is a fine one-off. So I don't mind it.
Fair enough.
It's my experience playing the deck. But I have
Dropping.
tried variants of my side deck configuration for the mirror, where I do side it out, but I feel it's decent enough. You want to save up side deck slots for other matchups. And that was a Magician of Faith.
Trying to get double graceful charity off that too.
Yeah, that would have been really, really sexy.
I'm quite torn on whether or not to side in flip monsters in the warrior mirror, because, man, Blade Knight, it's scary. But definitely on the play, it can be very effective.
Yeah, and I think on it too, like warrior decks typically are pretty trap heavy, so a lot of times you're gonna have an answer for the Blade Knight anyway.
For sure. But as you're saying, lots of traps, lots of monsters, not that many spells, especially in the mirror. So the Faith can sometimes be a bit awkward as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
So let's see if John Wick has the Blade Knight set 2 here. Or perhaps just a Kaiku, which would be really good here actually.
3 lights in the grave already for John Wick. No darks. Neither player is chaos ready as of this moment.
There's the 1800, had to use the premature to find it. So maybe John Wick has a Chaos Monster too, perhaps a Snatch. Oh, that's a good one. And there was no ring from John.
Or you have a safe play in this case.
This also gives not Nick a dark potential moving forward.
Yeah.
Would you have decided to attack with Breaker and then pop and then maybe use the effect afterwards, or would you have just done that safe play that what Nick just did?
I think
No,
it's
I
just,
would have gone for the safe play, I think.
yeah. I
There
think-
was the Snatch for John Wick. And John did not appear to have anything to run over 1600 last turn without using the premature, and this time around has to use the call, it would appear. Goes for the Blade Knight, so likely going to set 2 here. You would hope one of those is a Solemn Judgment, otherwise Heavystone would be devastating.
So to answer your question, in my opinion, Gate, if I had like a sorcerer or like a chaos monster follow up, I might have taken the riskier play, summon the breaker, swing, pop the back row. That because it's like if they do have an answer for my attack, then I can just main phase 2 use the sorcerer, and like it can just pull me so far ahead in the game. Otherwise, if I didn't have the chaos follow up, I probably would just take the safe play and just pop the premature and swing.
That's a very
Fair
good
enough.
point.
I
I
like
think you
that.
convinced me. Yeah.
And it looks like he did have the chaos monster, so he probably missed out on a potentially like really critical play.
You notice how
That's-
Nick decided to use that dust tornado on the snatch steal, like upon activation, as opposed to letting it go and going to battle phase, which was definitely something you can think about. I mean, there's
For sure.
options for either way. It could have been tributed off, probably not though because it's Warrior Chaos, but it allowed the Call of Han to be a more safer pass for John Wick.
The more common thing you're worried about is Book of Moon. But I think John Wick is good enough, and I think Nick is convinced that John has cited out the books if there were any in the first place. So yeah, I think you're right. That might have been a slight misstep.
It really could go either way in a sense. It's still reads you're gonna make, but of course it's easy to say that in hindsight.
There's a Saku. And I think John was pausing when the Chaos Sorcerer was summoned, right? So maybe the last set is the Solemn Judgment. And there's the cliff.
Him
We've been
pausing
talking about
doesn't-
it. We've been
doesn't
talking
make
about it
me
all
think of
game.
anything.
Yeah, Scully, I agree. The players bluffing is a thing, but
But you were
more
right.
often than not, we're not bluffing. So
So, do we have another? Is Dad commentating too? Dad 100, or is that just like a viewer?
no, there's a bunch of watchers.
Okay,
We got
okay.
TK as well watching this game.
Got it.
Some people were watching the stream and we just can't wait to see how the match ends. So we jump into the matches live,
Okay.
not to have that
Is
I don't know 3 minute delay or something.
oh, y'all keep it on a 3-minute delay. That's a long one.
Something along those lines, not to so that we're not scared of speaking of what the players should do because we don't. want to
Oh,
coach
fair
them.
enough. That makes sense.
Not that anything we say actually is good advice, but just in case.
Yeah.
Once in a while we do get lucky. And is that the ring? No. Did they just set the card into a
Yeah,
cliff?
they did.
Oh, whoops. That probably wasn't a good play. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Nick
he-
just admitted it in the chat. He misplayed.
Well, that's the first step to improvement, to acknowledge that there's things to improve.
Looks like maybe he had a fun Friday night. He said he's hungover. But I don't agree with Nick's or Ivan's telling him it's not his fault. Oh, he was DJing last night. Hey.
I'll tell my opponent anything if they misplay against me.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I play poker for a living, and I'm definitely not I'm definitely not going to tell my opponents, hey, like, yeah, that's not your fault, because that's like the number one way people they kind of stay making the same mistakes is not acknowledging their mistakes. But
Sounds profitable.
yeah.
So
but in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would
don't
definitely.
have anything to finish off this game here. Appears not. That's
Off by
3100. But there is still no light in Nick's graveyard. So no BLS.
Maybe we'll see a charity into a BLS OTK.
That would be
That
nice.
would be terrible. That would be bad.
Oh, there's a snatch. Oh,
Uh-oh, this could get bad.
Just need 1400 on the board. It
What?
doesn't have it.
perhaps slow rolling? No.
Or maybe a
And
lad.
there should be a counter on the skill dark. I can't believe these players missing such important factors. Actually quite relevant here. There's the
Oh
BLS.
my.
That's nice. Oh, and they have the BLS as well. Wow. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Nice one. John Wick takes the match. Nice to see.
Congratulations.
So, Scully, where are we heading?
Let's see here. Let's watch.
For y'all just tuning in,
Young Sexy
we are
MF
live
versus
streaming the
Grimjaw.
For sure.
WCQ2
This is a losers
tournament
bracket
from
match.
hosted by GoatFormat.com.
My only
So
knowledge of
if you
Young Sexy
are
MF
following
is
along, just hang
they
out
always
and we'll be
beat me
streaming until
with
probably
the
4 o'clock
greediest
or
of
so.
turbolists on ladder. And I always question how do they even beat Warrior with this list? Because it's so greedy, so inconsistent. But then again, in the Chaos Mirror, it looks pretty good.
What list are we referring to?
So usually we're playing these chaos decks with Solemn Judgment and Mask of Darkness, which I think is maybe what we're seeing here.
What is the matchup?
Oh, okay, sorry. Young Sexy MF
Got it.
against Grim Joe.
Okay. Do y'all have some insight into the deck lists that y'all are referencing, or
Nope, I don't look at them because
yeah,
we don't really want to
giveaway?
give away information that players couldn't have seen. So
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely wouldn't want the commentators talking about certain details if I was in the tournament. So
with that said, we are free to speculate based on what we've seen so far.
yeah, but it looks like we have a chaos control mirror match. So
Yeah. But I don't think Young Sexy is
Ouch.
running any copies of Scapegoat or Metamorphosis. And I wouldn't be surprised if Grim Joe is not running those either.
Well, Grimjaw, we saw Suki, we saw Suki, so it could be.
Yeah, it could be. But
it's
the
gonna
one
be
of Tsuki is not unheard of in
This is
Turbo
gonna-
either.
This is going to be the third Graceful Charity
Yeah.
for
I
Grimjaw.
was about to say that. Oh, still in the standby phase. I'm assuming this Regeki Bake is being played at.
very nice.
Absolutely. And we're going to see that Graceful Charity probably drop down now. And I think the last turn the Graceful Charity was played, discarded the Thunder Dragon. I can assume that was the case again with the first time. So, gonna have that.
So yeah,
discard
first there was
one
double
good
Thunder
card.
Dragon, then it was Serpent Thunder Dragon, and now it's Serpent. Dare I say Night Assailant?
I would expect to
Perhaps
see
not.
I expect to see a chaos monster this turn. If this is the third charity he's played, he's halfway through his
Yeah.
deck. He's got light and darks. Yeah, here it comes.
It might even be the fourth Charity.
This could be lethal.
No, it can't be 4.
There's the Sorcerer.
It could be lethal. Yeah.
There's
Oh
a
my
duo.
goodness.
Yeah, this game is pretty.
So we still don't know if it's Turbo or Control from the side of Green Joe.
My guess is just a turbo.
Metamorphosis for Darkblade would be very good here if it was the Control variant.
For Dark Blade? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, got it.
Would you have played that Delinquent Duo knowing that Young Sexy MF had 2 Thunder Dragons in the hand? I don't think I would have
Sure.
done that.
You
wanna
could
get 'em
argue
out of there.
that the Graceful top deck gets so much worse.
That's fair.
Card destruction, Regeki breaks. You don't care
So
about
yeah,
that.
I
Prism.
think I would have played it. But you could definitely make a case against it.
That is a
It's a
good,
card I
good
didn't.
point.
It's a card I didn't see a whole lot of, like back in goat in the goat format times was card destruction, and now that's something that we've just seen surface up in the meta all of a sudden. We've just seen how absolutely explosive that card can be now that goatformat.com has come about. Like card destruction has been a game changer.
It's a card players aren't all in agreement on either. Like, you do not see it in a lot of these decks.
But that's mostly, I believe, due to some people believe it's not great in the Chaos Turbo mirror matches.
It definitely goes both ways,
And now
though,
with
because I mean, I know I've played matches where I'm holding on to chaos monsters, trying to time it right, and then someone drops a card destruction and kind of foils my plans. So definitely goes both ways.
yeah, that definitely happens. So I would expect them to lead with oh. I think Grim Joe can live with that exchange. Oh, never mind. Do you book the faith? Please book the faith. There we go. That's my man.
I mean, the Sinister Serpent's in the graveyard. I mean, it's just free pluses with that Graceful Charity in there too. So I understand why I'd book a moon that. I
So
definitely
is there a
would.
nobleman? No.
He can flip
How-
the faith, can he? Or he flipped it this turn already?
Flip it.
Yeah, he graceful, I think.
Yeah, I think so. has not found a nobleman of crossout, it would appear, in 23 cards. I mean, I can't really say that Grimjoe has been unlucky this game, but slightly unfortunate. Knight Assailant is good here. There's that Tsukiyomi. Some momentum on the side of Young Sexy. But yeah, looking grim nonetheless.
Pun intended.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's just how do you combat with all this momentum if you're young, sexy, with how so many like well utilized graceful charities in this game. This is
Limbo
something-
Dash
this is
exchange.
very
Oh,
hard to come
never
back
mind. Do you book the Faith, please? Yeah, this is gonna be rough. We're not quite at the point where a card destruction could be lethal.
Yeah.
Just because of deck size. So,
Just 7 cards in hand, especially in GOAT format, is scary to look at.
for sure. But there wasn't a nobleman of crossout last turn. And if there isn't a Sangan, maybe it's slightly awkward to deal with this Knight Assailant. Of course, BLS is also a clean answer.
Yeah, we haven't seen a nobleman of crossout yet.
Yeah, 2 noblemen, BLS, Sangan, but perhaps doesn't have any of those. Is that the Serpent then?
Yeah, you gotta wonder if that's bait, but even so, young sexy can like fall into it because they've got the Tsukiyomi in hand, so they can just easily take that bait.
For sure. What's the Serpent? There's the turn shell. That was nice.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say if Young Sexy has a Knight Assailant face down, he's for sure going to set the Serpent.
Yeah, I would agree. So, I would suppose we just set the monster here and pass, unless we have a Kaiku in hand. Expecting that to be probably a Gravekeeper Spy. Of course, we don't know what game this is. Oh, BLS.
And
This
BLS
is
is
path to
so
victory.
Cryo, no.
he's going for the swings.
Ooh,
That's a bit weird. Alright,
Huh.
there we go.
He just robbed that game.
I think young sexy was just thinking all or nothing at that point, just seeing if, just making a chink in that huge armor, but just to no avail, and
I thought
just way too far behind.
maybe I misread it, but I thought Grim had more life points. I guess he was below 3,000.
No, Grim won.
Oh, Grim won. Oh, okay.
Grim won.
Okay. I was like, what happened right there? That makes sense now. Okay.
Grim flipped the Mirror Force.
Okay.
and,
Okay. Got it.
I think
Young
Young
and
was
Vitality.
going for like a get 3,000 in, flip a ring is my out to win in this game or something with that attack.
I think they had 6,900.
So I wouldn't
Okay,
have done
that-
it either then, huh?
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you just want to have an excuse to press the button and get on with the next game.
Yeah, like you pass with that BLS out, you know it's getting snatch stealed or
Yeah.
banished or something.
So, I think, speaking of only archetypes, I think Young should have a slight edge in the matchup. Oh, this could be bad.
This could be very bad. If
Jump
I mean,
out,
Dual
Taylor.
Thunder,
hit
Dual Thunder,
the pause.
Thunder Dragon.
Yeah. I was gonna say the
Alright, so this is a very typical Chaos Turbo match. One person just snowballs into oblivion, and the other person has very little counterplay. Let's see if Grimjoe can put something together here. Pot of Greed is a very good start, of course.
I'm curious what y'all think about Upstart Goblin. Like personally, I think in the Chaos Turbo deck, I think it's just a mandatory play because it turns on like Magician of Faith and stuff so quickly, and it also just gets you to the power cards quicker, and the life points don't really seem that important. So my kind of opinion is Upstart is just like a mandatory card in those decks. What do y'all think?
So when this deck started appearing, the Chaos Turbo deck, like 8 months ago or so, perhaps a bit more, 10 months, there was a lot of resistance from the boomer GOAT players, people who have been playing GOAT for lots of years, and they especially hated on the inclusion of Upstart Goblin. But I think with time, it has just been established as almost an instant inclusion in these turbo decks.
Yeah,
We've even seen some people playing it in the Warriors,
really, that's interesting.
which is a bit conflicting with the primary game plan, of course. And most people are not including it, but some good players, such as SDL Killa and Guys D, have definitely tried it and had success with it. So
Yeah, it seems
Yeah,
like
I'm still not sold on it. I've seen too many games where if the upstart wasn't played, it would have been over and
yeah,
it cost matches. If it's going to be played in anything, I think it should be the Chaos Turbo deck, but I'm not 100% sold on it.
yeah, so Skull is one of these GOAT boomers.
But I mean, Scully, he doesn't agree with Upstart and Chaos. I mean,
Oh, I think if you're going to play it, it should be in the Turbo deck. I don't think it's an
Yeah.
automatic inclusion. I really don't think you should play it in Warriors.
I
So
agree,
this
I
is
agree with that
the deck
because the
Young
thing
Sexy
is,
always beats me with.
the thing in Warrior is it's a tempo based deck, so it's a little bit counterproductive. Like in a Warrior deck, it seems like time is really of the essence. So giving your opponent extra turns to like top deck out of like a simplified game state seems to be kind of an issue.
But
For
the thing
sure.
that- it does have some other value in Warriors, though, because it can make you blank Trap Dust Shoot earlier, because you play so few monsters to begin with, and it can also let you set it to get an attack over with a Blade Knight and then flip it over after you attack.
Right.
And these sound like small things, but it does come up. Also, a lot of players do use Magician of Faith in their side decks, which can be awkward at times due to the low spell count in the warrior deck lists. And
Right.
their Upstart Goblin can make it be a bit less awkward. And SDL Killa also has been experimenting with Chiron the Mage in the side deck.
Hmm.
And once again, having a few more spells in your deck can be a decisive factor there. But most players, of course, opting not to use Upstart Goblin in their beatdown decks. So this game, I thought Young Sexy would just run away with it, but Grimjow seems to be catching up nicely here. And wow, appears not to be a Solemn Judgment set, which is a bit weird to me.
Why do
I
you
think the 3 sets could be like bluffs or something like that to try to ward off Grim from making a push and just content with just attacking with Chaos Sorcerer.
Also, Young
We
Sexy
know one of
does
them is a
run
Jar of Greed.
multiple copies of Jar of Greed. Yeah.
Why would you conclude that there's no solemn set?
I would have Solemn the Faith or the Graceful.
Okay.
Yeah, he had Thunder Dragons, so that's a fairly common play to Solemn Charity when that's there.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But this is still interesting, very very close in terms of resources. Grimjow has a bit of momentum right now, but that could swing very quickly, as it often does in these chaos matchups.
I can't believe how close this game is, like you said.
Yeah, but I think Young should be able to drop a chaos monster here and pull ahead. But yeah, definitely not decided just yet.
I mean, look at this difference in life points right now because of
Sure.
Upstart.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oof,
Ooh.
that's so brutal. Man, see that there's that Book of Moon just coming in, man. I think so Grim definitely has a
This-
BLS, I think.
This is going to be a strong turn, that's for sure.
One's definitely going to be a Thunder Dragon being discarded. Yep.
Oh wow.
No noblemen yet either, so
Yeah,
Such insight.
and flipping the Raigeki break there definitely signals that they have a way of dealing with the faith at the ready. Or they wouldn't have made that decision so quickly, I feel.
possibly mind control even.
Yeah, that
Mind
could
control.
be. That's a common card to side
Yeah.
in these chaos mirrors.
Mind control is a card I was watching a commentary from Dale, and I didn't realize how good mind control was in the mirror match. But after watching that, I was like, wow, it's just so good.
Speaking of so good, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Look how quickly this game has turned around now.
And Grimjow probably doesn't have any lights in their deck apart from BLS left.
Speaking of which, I'm going to have Dale and Christopher Perovic on my podcast next week because we are approaching the World Championships for GOAT format. So I'm going to get their take on everything going on. So it's nice to have both of them back on my podcast, and they're going to be on at the same time. So this is going to be for some fun woolly banter that's going to come about hopefully next week.
Gate, are you David?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. It's all coming together now. Okay, I got
There
it.
you go. We're Facebook friends.
Oh, dude, we've met many times. So
Yeah, we have. We've been on the scene so many times. Yeah, we definitely have met. We know each other.
it's all coming together now.
You just get that wave of nostalgia just kind of hit your face now.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Speaking of mind control, decides to clear the Chaos Sorcerer rather than the Kaiku. I
Yeah,
guess
so
the Kaiku actually... Okay, there we go.
For Kaiku.
But yeah, just long term, yeah. Grimjow is gonna struggle to summon a Chaos Monster this game. And without the Chaos Monsters, the Turbo deck doesn't have that many strong plays.
Yeah, I
In
feel
terms
like
of
this
actually
game
putting
is.
stats onto the field.
I feel like this game is pretty much. I mean, it's not a lock, but I think Young Sexy's gonna win this 95%.
So standby ring, no
So,
ring.
yeah.
All right,
a,
that's
a draw.
over.
A draw
Oh.
phase ring was really it. Snatch Steel's still alive.
Thing is, Young has triple judgment, so I mean,
Ooh, that's a second mask in play.
It is. The first Mask of Darkness did not fetch anything at all. It was just set for nothing.
it got
He had a jar
Agreed.
agreed.
yeah.
Oh, did it? No,
Yeah.
I did not see that.
That's really interesting though to me, like to see like sometimes I just like I'm so baffled at how these people find space to be running masks, jars, and upstarts. I'm just like, wow. Like how do you find space for those cards?
Got all the cards that are good against warriors, because that's what they do against me, and I play chaos and then I lose.
You say that
Every
again?
time on ladder. Every time I play against Young Sexy on ladder, we play chaos mirrors, and I have these cards that are good against warriors. And he's running Jar of Greed, Solemn Judgment, and Mask of Darkness, and I can't keep up. So I think this is a really good meta call if you're expecting chaos. And they have experience with this deck and has played it for quite a while now.
But you would say I would have to like guess that running the jars and masks and stuff is probably a little bit weaker in a warrior heavy meta, right? Because you're so vulnerable to like Blade Knights and stuff.
I would say so, yes. But perhaps the Young Sexy wouldn't agree. It could also be me being a bit salty from losing several times. So I have to find
Yeah.
some angle to claim that their deck is not as good as it appeared to be.
Is there like an established favorite in this matchup?
I mean, Mask of Darkness isn't very common. But I would think that the Turbolist running Judgment and Mask should have a slight edge. That's my guess. Also, the Jar of Greed means that you're just better at playing Turbo.
Yeah, I guess for the mirror match. Yeah,
You find the graceful faster.
the dust shoot.
And here you go, find the dust pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Being able to outspeed in the Chaos Turbo Mirror is huge.
Yeah,
But
and
every once in a while you do run out of cards in deck, so you gotta watch out for that.
That's for sure a thing. I think it's less likely to happen when with less Scapegoat being played right now, but
Yeah. That was more common when the Chaos Turbo deck had its breakout tournament performance when Sirski was playing Everfall in the finals of GFC, I want to say 8. when Sivska just couldn't close out the game because Everfall had put together this deck with triple spy, triple scapegoat in order to combat the warrior decks, but Sivska was playing Case Turbo but just couldn't close it out. That was amazing to watch.
That's kind of interesting. The scape, like those are the Gravekeeper specifically is a card I've been kind of like fanboying on a little bit, just because I was using warriors, testing them out, and spy was just a card that was really annoying to deal with in the warrior deck.
Very much so.
You know, it does concern me a little bit, the spy, just because it's like it's really good against warrior, but I feel like it's not the best against the chaos matchup. So it's
It's not the best.
I'm a little bit back and forth on it. Okay,
But the thing is, it's not that bad.
Right, Young Sexy
So,
probably has a
but-
Knight of Cell in hand. By the way, just gonna point that out.
I guess both players do.
Oh, true.
I think Grimjaw's only playing one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, food for thought. If I was Grim and I saw those two back rows, I wouldn't play Heavy Storm. And I think that's one benefit of playing Jar of Greed, because it's chainable, and you kind of have to think twice about being able to play that Heavy Storm, because you don't want to just see two Jar of Greeds be chained and then kind of lose out with that Heavy Storm. So I think that's one advantage of playing this kind of set as well.
Yeah.
Surprising, there no follow-up of a set of a monster or summon anything for Young.
So what's their hand then?
Chaos monsters with
Chaos
no Dark
Monsters,
Engrave?
the Knight Assailant, and
Kaiku would be brutal right now, I think, from Grim.
No, I think Young may have sided out a Night Assailant and only played one as well. Like,
What?
why wouldn't
No.
you dump? Why wouldn't you dump it or set it?
Well, if you don't have a flip, he might just
there
be
wasn't
holding
a
off.
flip.
It's
Yeah.
no
They
Dark
dumped
Engrave,
Surf
though.
with Thunder Dragon. Oh, but you don't need the Dark, because
Yeah, you can.
there's no reason to drop a Sorcerer anytime soon.
I think Knight of Cellant's probably an okay card in the mirror as well, because you can set it to peg like flips and stuff. So
But it is risky, because it's only good if you set it first, right?
yeah,
And even
I think
then,
it's
they
face-
can run into
he
it
just-
with Sangan.
he just judgment the deco. That might indicate he has a Knight of Cellant face down. He didn't want to get
That's good Dark.
nope. That's,
Nope,
Tomato.
neither.
that's weird. I don't understand
I
that.
would
Interesting.
think that was top deck Tomato.
Sam would like that to coach to be face up for the Mystic Tomato.
Yeah, I don't see why.
Very peculiar.
I don't get why you're Solomoning the deco.
So one thing these Chaos Turbo lists with Mask and the Judgment and Jar of Greed do is rely heavily on tempo. Just trying to deny the opponent to draw cards while drawing cards themselves to get to the powerful one-offs. And maybe that's what's going through Young's
maybe-
mind here. But yeah, that Judgment definitely aggressive.
He might have a mask face down. He might have like just set it as a follow up.
There's a duo, does not wait for a response. So maybe... Okay, there we go. Mirror Force, another card that is not great in these turbo matchups, but you kind of need it facing down the Kaiku.
Kaiku's another one of those cards where it's like it's so good against the chaos matchup, but I feel like it's really vulnerable against warrior because they're playing skilled darks and stuff and blade knights, and it's
For
kind of it's kind of tough. It's interesting because like the two main meta decks are a little bit different, so it's tough to like main deck things like Kaiku, and because you're gonna run into like both decks, and it's good against one and not amazing against the other.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting because everyone builds their decks so differently, even when it comes to warriors and turbo. They have a few cards different because it's so hard to metagame when these two polar opposite decks exist.
I actually see
Personally.
Chaos deck just trading Kaiku against the Warriors. Kaiku a lot just to be able to get it off the board.
But very often when you're playing turbo against the warrior deck, the warrior deck has double Sakuretsu armor set that they haven't been able to use for the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I often do is I summon my Kaiku and I pass and I pray. It feels so bad. That's also why I'm not too high on Tsukiyomi, in the Turbo decks because every time I summon it, I run into a battle trap that hasn't been used for the entire game. But some players go the other route, that they include the Tsukiyomi and the Kaikus and try to actually fight through the battle trap. So it's quite interesting.
So this mind control goes through. I'm guessing it's another tomato or something without a quick flip on it.
Night Assailant would be fair.
I think it's total junk.
Yeah, he's probably like, damn it.
It could be mask.
Sad
He gave it
face.
to him so fast.
It could be a mask. That would be fun. No,
It-
apparently not.
Could be a mask. Yeah.
Just a Sangan.
Opts
mean,
not to
what
flip
do-
it.
Why don't you flip it? Because you want to flip the Sangan. So why don't you flip?
Yeah, probably should have flipped it.
I struggle to see a card.
Yeah,
you
that is
wouldn't
weird, right? Even if it's a mask, it's definitely getting flipped. So, I mean,
Yeah, and even if it's a non-flip monster, you want it face up for your Chaos Sorcerers down the line.
yeah,
Could have
he,
Torrential.
he might have just overlooked it. Maybe Grim is just feeling a little bit like maybe he's just feeling behind this game in. Well,
Nope, there's a reason not to flip it.
yeah,
I mean,
that makes sense
it's
because
still strictly better to flip it.
well, if he could feign that he has like a torrential face down, or I don't know, like
Yeah, I guess Torrential would be the one card.
He's
As
not
you guys
bad.
are saying.
He's not benefiting from flipping the Kaiku.
Sure. Yeah, at that point, it's strictly better to leave it set. Yeah, nice call.
interesting. Interesting. Grim's playing triple faith. I wonder if he's running upstart as well. I feel like if you're running triple faith, upstart is like a mandatory.
I agree.
Just to continue to keep it live.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been running quite a bit of Triple Faith myself.
Yeah.
It's good. Every now and then it gets awkward because
Yeah.
Faith isn't always live, but it's such a powerful card. That's also something people are not agreeing on, whether to run 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's really strange because like sometimes it can be a little bit bricky. Like if you draw too many early with no spells, it can be an issue. But at the same time, I feel like it just kind of like wins games.
Also comes down a bit to what meta you're expecting, because if you run like Triple Faith, Triple Decoichi, then Blade Knight does become a huge deal, rather than if you go for like a 2-2 split.
Yeah.
Let's see if this Heavy Storm resolves.
I would love to see
Ring.
that set card to be a Book of Moon for Faith. For Young Sexy, sorry. Ooh.
That
So-
would have been good.
So they did have the Regeki break if a book was chained there, but geez, their pot agreed on top of it too.
Yeah, it was a retreat for Magician of Faith.
I've also been on the other side of the spectrum where I've actually found myself in a lot of situations just playing a single Magician of Faith, which might sound kind of strange, but I've actually I've been playing decks where I actually cut the second Faith just for like a merchant, just so I have a like because I just found so many situations where I was like drawing Faiths where they were just dead, and the merchant's just like always live, and obviously it's not as like powerful, but I just for like consistency purposes, I found it to be like pretty good.
Well, it helps
Very
you
nice
here.
to hear some love for the merchant.
It also helps you in the situation where if your magician gets nobleman, your
Ex-
other light is still in the deck.
Yeah. So like I think there are like I don't think it's like, clear cut you have to run double, triple faith. Like I found myself just playing one and being perfectly fine with it. But I also haven't been playing in tournaments, so who knows like when I start playing as competitive players, how well that works out.
Oh, is this a push? Gonna try to trigger the Reaper.
Nice. Got it through.
I've not seen any cyber jar from either player so far.
And I'm not saying that. Coming back to the judgment on the Decoichi earlier on, I'm not saying it was correct or anything. It might have been, might not have been. That's debatable. But just see how many cards Young has drawn versus how many cards Grim has drawn. It's such a huge difference, and I think that's really important of these Turbo Mirrors, because once you get going, it just snowballs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just cut off the draws early and take control.
So, how many do you swing with here? Do you respect the Mirror Force?
I mean, you gotta
Switch to
respect it too.
Sorcerer?
It's got Solemn, so
I like this. I think this
Yeah,
is
this keeps lethal on
good.
board without exposing your Reaper.
And Mask is so underrated. The 900 attack points, that's quite big. That deals quite a bit of damage. That should not be underestimated. But yeah, Young could be running out of steam here. Does need to keep up the pressure. Feels inclined to summon a Chaos Monster just to attack with it, in order to finish this game before Grim starts drawing their powerful synergies.
Yeah,
I mean,
Grim
Neil is
Grim still has no
perfect to
light.
put on the board.
Oh
There's a
man,
book.
yeah, that's a sign of defeat right there. That's
But
rough.
maybe there's a nobleman.
Maybe, but
No, there's not.
that's
And now
tough.
the VLS is gonna flip, banish, and this game is looking
Yeah,
not very good for Grimjow.
I think Grim's pod is already gone too, right? Oh no, he still has Pot of Greed live. So
Yeah,
But with Solemn set, it's pretty wrapped up.
well, there is the ring, the possibility. Maybe.
wow, Young Sexy has 3 jars in his grave, so he's running triple jar.
Ring's
Yeah.
gone already.
Yeah, true. Ring is gone. Yeah, Young has been using this list for a while, and it's good in these mirrors, I do believe.
Has Young, like, I guess has he won some tournaments recently online that I'm unaware of?
No, but
So-
he stays on top of the Dueling Book bracket.
Okay.
And I think Young is the
They're
kind of
ranked-
guy who perhaps has another account they have been using somewhere else. I'm not sure on that.
Okay, just so he can test and not be known.
So Young will take it.
That was a nice one. Fun to see some chaos. I thought I'd never say.
Been a huge change of pace. It's funny how goat format, is all about scapegoats, and the meta right now is straight away from scapegoats now.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily it's still a good format, huh?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're one of those who think it's a 2-deck format, which it definitely isn't, that 2-deck format is still a pretty good 2-deck format, and that's quite cool to see.
Lucas is Lucas the Heretic, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna check out Moon Goblin versus Lucas the Heretic.
All right, so we're probably
Maybe
gonna
one
see
of
another
the
warrior.
absolute-
So Lucas is right now the leader going into the World Championship. He has qualified for Worlds 3 times this year already, so he will be the top seed as of now going into Worlds.
Nice.
Speaking of being in the top seed, he's also the top seed in the tournament, the highest rated player in the GOATFORT rankings out of all the participants. Also has a very nice name, of course. Goes for the Kaiku here. Oh, playing as Angel. Wow, so long ago we saw Angel doing well. Props to Moon Goblin for always bringing something different. And for once bringing something proper.
Yeah, you never know what deck you're going to see against Moon Goblin, if it's going to be Burn, Chaos.
FTK library.
Yeah, you really don't know.
Yeah.
Do we know if we're in game 1 or not?
We don't.
We don't.
Okay.
So if I know Lucas right, nope, never mind. I could have bet my head that he was gonna top deck the BLS there.
Incredibly
Maybe having
simplified
a-
game state.
Okay, this is not looking good for Lucas. BLS still live, of course.
This is game 2, Lucas won game 1.
Alright. moving into game 3.
Hey guys, for y'all just tuning in,
And
hanging out.
I love
Thanks
Shining
for
Angel.
being
I
here.
was playing it
We are
before
commentating
it
live
was
on the
concluded that the deck was trash.
WCQ2 tournament that's
But
being
I do
hosted
think
by
it
GoatFormat.com.
does appear
We'll be
it should have
here
a pretty
probably
good
till about
matchup
4
against
p.m.
Warriors.
So
Well, we've seen
hang out and
Dingo who's
and,
watching this game right now,
enjoy the
do
commentary.
very well with Chaos Return. Just placed, what was it?
I know it.
Place in the FLC with the deck, and did
Yeah.
very good in the previous WCQ with the deck.
Yeah, he has
and,
been smashy with that deck.
and is that the same? I believe it's the same deck that he won the 3v3 tournament with as well. So
Won the 3v3. I think it did well. You said it did well in FLC. Won an ACS. Did well in another tournament. Yeah.
yeah, I think he just got second place in the FLC last weekend.
Yeah. So let's see if Moon Goblin perhaps has copied the deck list, or if this is what I originally thought it might have been, the Angel Chaos control deck with Scapegoat and Metamorphosis alongside the Angel.
Well, to be fair, Dingo's deck is kind of a chaos control deck with a single copy of Return from a Different Dimension in it. Is probably a better description than calling it Chaos Return.
I don't agree. I think it's an aggro deck.
He doesn't play Metamorphosis and stuff in it?
Nope.
Okay.
Triple Angel, triple Dekoichi, triple Spy, a pair of Blade Knight and a Rasura. Goes back and forth on those.
Okay, so I'm
Ooh.
mistaken then.
This
Definitely
is Moon
more
Goblin or
like Chaos Control. We're guessing if Moon Goblin is copying Dingo's deck.
okay, this is the deck that okay, I got you. I know what you're referring to, running the roulette barrel and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
has
I
moved back and
really
forth
like
in that one
Return.
as well. Yeah, Return is a good card.
It just it's just one of those cards. Like late game, it just steals games, and I think it's pretty powerful.
There's lots of potential there, and some would argue underexplored, and Dingo definitely has been paid off for exploring it more thoroughly.
My
So
only
we're not gonna.
go ahead,
Sorry?
go ahead.
No. I'm just rambling.
I was just gonna say my only dig on Return is from my experience, it's just another one of those cards. I really like standalone cards that don't rely too much on other things, and obviously Return can be a little bit of a liability early game. So that's it kind of supports my decision. Like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes I'll find myself playing like even just one faith with a merchant just because I want a little bit more playability early game. So I've definitely gone back and forth on Return quite a bit. But
Return is definitely, yeah,
but
Knowing your
at the end of
opponent
that spectrum.
knowing your opponent even has one copy of Return in their deck, though, can be super stressful mid to late
For
game.
sure.
yeah.
So Lucas is playing the Warrior deck as he has been for the last few months.
I've actually been I recently became aware of the Horus Turbo deck that runs Royal Decrees, Reasonings, Monster Gates. I was unaware of that, and I was actually shocked. I was like, so I was streaming and somebody sent me a list, and I was expecting it to me to just be some gimmick, and I put it together, and I was actually pretty shocked at how well it
Pretty
runs.
consistent, right?
What's up?
Yeah, it just steals games.
It's pretty consistent at doing what it wants to do.
I was shocked. I was like, how is this even possible? Just like looking over the list, I was like, how is this deck good? I put it together and I was like, wow, it's a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, it's actually a playable deck, and I think that's a lot better than most people think it is when we first see it.
Yeah.
I've run into it a few times, and yeah, every now and then you just lose. There's not much to do.
There's the anti-meta combo right now of Decree Kaiku that can shut down a good half of a lot of decks. So then it's being able to be splashed into like these different little engines. Like that's how we saw the zombie deck get first place, was having those in there, and the Horus deck is able to employ the same tactics.
So we're still not sure what exact archetype Moon Goblin is playing.
I think it's
Of
pretty.
course, Lucas probably knows.
I mean, if Moon Goblin's playing Roulette Barrel, I think it's pretty safe to assume he's running a deck like Dingo.
Yeah,
Played.
now that we see the spy, it's confirmed. But Ruler Barrel could be in the side deck of, or should be in the side deck, I would even say, of any Angel Chaos list. But yeah, now that we've seen the spy, I'm convinced.
Those are two cards to help kind of counter or resist against Blade Knight, and already they've been taken out with Exiled Force. Lucas making some good reads, taking out both those monsters with Exiled Force when it's so tempting to just use a Blade Knight just to attack a singular monster on the field with only one card in hand. So Lucas making some really good reads on that point.
Yeah, and Lucas utilizing his knowledge here, he knows that I would assume they saw these cards game one and knew that, okay, this is Dingo's deck. And that deck is specifically designed not to lose to Blade Knight with the Shining Angel and Spy. And Lucas, correctly, as you're saying, is adapting to that.
I think Lucas is the best Go format player right now. Like, compare him to Reclair's run last year, where we just saw Reclair be like the most consistent and nonstop, just always playing Goat format. Anytime you looked at Dueling Book, there's Reclair grinding, playing, and I think Lucas has taken up that role this year.
Yeah. But you've got some other names that you also could make a case for. You got the James Ark, the Moxies, the Dingo
Oh.
Sig.
There's contention.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Lucas right now, head of the pack. Let's see if they can keep up the pace. A third Exile Force being used here.
It's going in for the kill at this point. This is a kill shot.
Said really the heart of the cards.
Moon Goblin with his trademark tilting comment just before flipping the Mirror Force. There we
Ooh.
go.
Solemn.
Wow.
That call should still be on the board.
Speaking of heart of the cards, call an ambulance, Moon Goblin says. But not for me. As he flips the Mirror Force.
Oh
Top
my.
deck graceful.
Do y'all think that
I mean-
Dark Magician of Chaos has any room to be like in competitive like tier 0 decks at the moment? Like that's a card I find myself really fascinated with, but I just haven't found a way to make it consistent enough.
The
People
need
have
to-
tried.
Some like Reasoning Gate Turbo decks.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously in that, but I mean, like, do you think there's space in it for like more slower pace, like chaos decks?
Yeah.
The need to cut Premature Burial Call of the Haunted that people have decided to play the Chaos decks has kind of
Yeah.
edged it out.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with me. I was like constantly wanting to play it, and I was like, but playing it forced me to play things like Prima Call, and then sometimes I was even experimenting with like return and stuff. But I was like, but constantly like those were all liabilities at certain stages of the game, and I was like, it all kind of stemmed from having the Dark Magician of Chaos in the deck. It's like if you run that
Yeah.
card, you have to run those other cards, and it can kind of create some issues.
It's like bricks that encourage you to play more bricks.
Yeah, it's a compounding downward spiral.
Oh my.
All right, we're in top
That's-
deck mode.
Huge. So, really close.
Oh,
But that Kaiku is definitely very good.
That's
Well-
the second time we've seen a Kaiku get top decked right off the top for Lucas and strike Moon Goblin directly.
But Moon Goblin does have quite a lot of draws. Like Skildark, Shining Angel, Spy.
Big traps are all gone though.
Return would also be very good.
Can it get over? Yeah, it can get over the Kaiku too. Yeah, flip return game. That would be pretty
That would be nice.
sick.
Did Lucas get the Solemn?
But if I know Lucas, he has the ring.
I'll just be a return. Oh, it's a.
No ring.
Alright, this is a game. Oh, why did we check the grave? No reason, I guess. This is so tense. We could see a solemn war in response to this summon.
Comes to Suzuki.
Nope. Oh. Wow.
That's-
Lucas gets there.
There we go.
And so far, the higher seed has won every time, I think, we've spectated matches.
I want to see some like
So we take the
I want to see some like some unexpected decks matched up. Like I would love to see a Horus like we were talking about or something a little bit different.
If you want that, we gotta go to the losers bracket real fast because we're
Oh, yeah.
dropping like flies down there.
Okay. We should feature one of them, you know? I mean, give them some love.
I don't think
For sure.
any of them entered today.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we did see the enemy controller. I don't know what to call it. Deck.
Let's see, is the Nano playing? He's probably our best bet.
Oh yeah, the Nano
Nano
played Agrobomb recently, right?
Okay, so Nano versus IMZ1. I see Cyberstein.
That's a good one.
I see.
Is
That's a good one.
Is Nano a pretty strong player in the pool?
Yeah.
So yeah, last year Nano was, I think, won back-to-back or topped like 3 tournaments, major tournaments in a row. And just also known for being a very innovative deck builder.
Is Nano the one that
IMZ1
is he the one that played he got like 7th with Agrobomb recently?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But you've probably seen Nano's decks before.
Oh.
And IMZ1 has also won a GFC before as well.
So, IMC1, I think one of the more underrated players in our community. Looks to be. I mean, this game is so close. I can't tell who's ahead.
Last Will Cyberstein and IMZ1's graveyard looking like they're on a Chaos controller, Chaos Turbo deck. I see Wing Blast, Regeki Breaks.
Yeah, it might
and
just be a
Wing Blast
tech.
for Nano as well.
If IMZ1 is playing Last Will and Severstein, I would think it makes sense for him. He might be playing a copy of Zaborg as well. I think Zaborg like works really well with those cards because Zaborg can open up the field and put a ton of damage on the board with Master of
be.
Oz.
That is another brick, though.
I see Toon Cannon Soldier though as well, so that's different. Huh.
So, I think it's fun to see people experimenting with Last Will. That's also an underexplored, a very powerful card.
Yeah.
Cyberstein as well, of course.
Who we just posted a updated ruling for on GoFormat.com for Last Will of anybody listening. If you want to check it out, see the extensive research we did to figure out how that card worked in 2005. We'll give a brief explanation is you have to activate it before the monster is destroyed, and then the first time a monster goes to the graveyard after you activated it, you can summon the monster. If you do not summon it then you cannot summon a monster of that last will anymore, and it does start a chain when you summon with Last Will. But if you want to see the 5-page explanation, check out GoFormat.com and we'll show you all the research that went into figuring this rule out. It was a tough one.
Yeah.
I think
I've
they
been-
did a very good job. And I think, yeah, this is definitely how the card should work.
I've been experimenting a little bit with Last Will in Chaos lately, like Chaos Warrior and stuff. And basically, I was kind of like looking at different formats, like specifically SGC Austin, the one where I got second place with in the Spicer Monarch format. I was looking at Jason Holloway's deck list, and I felt like it could be applied to the GOAT format. So I kind of took his deck list and then made the switches, took out Confiscation for Duo, put in Pot of Greed, But he was playing kind of like Chaos Warrior deck, but with Cyber Dragons. So I dropped the Cyber Dragons for Sorcerers. I kept the Last Will and Cyberstein, and I was really impressed at how well the deck functioned. And it was pretty cool being able to poke people with tomatoes, and then later in the game drop as a Borg with a Last Will to OTK them. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, there's lots of potential there for sure. So here I think the Nano is pulling ahead slightly at least. And I would assume IMZ1 does have a few bricks in their deck in order to accommodate this Cyberstein strategy.
It looks like the Stein brought out Ryu Senshi as well.
Since IMZ is playing the Toon Cannon Soldier and not just the regular Cannon Soldier, is it safe to assume he's running like Toon Table contents too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure hope so.
Yeah.
Often these last will decks are going to run the Toon Table contents to Cannon Soldier engine to trigger the last will. It's not rare to see reinforcements of the army be included as well to get Exile Force.
I don't really see the point though of, I don't know, in this specific like build. I mean, I can't see the whole thing, but it looks like it's a very chaos control like oriented deck. So I don't know, running Toon Table content seems like a liability. It's another card we can draw.
You could also argue that in a deck that runs so many cards causing you to discard, it's not that bad drawing dead copies as it would be for other decks. But yeah, the Cyberstein engine does look a bit gimmicky, but we haven't seen the full picture just yet.
Yeah.
At least you would only ever draw one dead copy.
So Chaos Sorcerer was probably a must draw here. Besides the attack, that's pretty interesting to me.
I think he's just going
Trying
for
to go
game.
for game.
Maybe.
Oh, that's right, 1700. And IMC1 is known for taking a popular deck and then playing it with a twist. IMC1 and P-Tranks P was very active in the early days of Chaos Turbo.
Imagine if IMC1 has returned.
That could be it.
Hey.
Like you attack into this, whatever happens, flip return, and
That would make
cannon out
sense.
the game.
Yeah. That would make a lot of
Sounds
sense.
like quite optimistic deck building, because once again we've got this bricks upon bricks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
like I have no idea what this deck is doing or what it. So
It's cool, that's for sure. Nano decides to use the Judgment.
See if we got the return for game.
I suppose Judgment is not that great in combination with Cyberstein, so IMC1 probably is not running that card. This is so tense.
Yeah,
It's
if
actually
it's
good
dedicated,
with Stein as well, though. If you can bring out your Stein guy and then set Solomons behind it,
Exactly.
kind of turbo. But there's not like we don't see 3 Last Wills in this grave or the Toon Tables yet either. So there's only 13 cards left as well, and Pot Agreed and Duo are not in this pile. So
It could be that it's just a side deck plan.
definitely possible.
yeah.
And yeah, coming back to Cyberstein and Judgment, I have been using that in my Chaos Warrior decks, siding a pair of Cyberstein. Because against the decks, like the combo decks of the format,
Yeah, it's so
to run
nice.
Cyberstein with a Judgment behind it, that's just
Yeah, bring
Game
out
over.
Last Warrior or something. It's just, yeah, it's so good.
Last Warrior Bolter, depending. Yeah.
These sorcerers are gone on IMZ1's side, and BLS is being the only chaos monster left. And I wonder what is going through the mind of IMZ1 right now. He's been taking a lot of time after that chaos sorcerer got hit with Solemn Judgment. With only one card in hand. What's the thought process here?
So let's see here. Any monster that is lethal through the Faith also survives an attack from the Thunder Dragon.
I think
in that
IMZ's trying to see if he
one
can.
would have life points left.
I think IMZ's contemplating like how he's gonna like win this turn, maybe. Oh no, I'm wrong.
Just passes.
It was how am I gonna survive?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a return face down. I think we would have seen that played.
Yeah. Even summoning the Sinister Serpent, just poking with Faith and Sinister is enough for a game. So IMZ one is on their heels right now.
They must have been thinking of something.
Torrental's life, Mirror Force is burned.
Maybe they had the ring and they were contemplating whether or not to flip it immediately or wait.
That's possible. Yeah.
I would imagine Heavy
So-
Storm here would be the card of choice for Magician of Faith.
Could be that INC1 is going to flip the ring in response to the Faith here. I mean, I guess you check what they targets first.
Yeah, but they have a Sinister Serpent in hand too, so even if they clears the board with Heavy Storm, that's going to be enough for a game, even with the ring.
But ring is a draw.
So this was game 1.
Gonna step away. Be right back, guys.
Wow.
Thanks for hanging out.
I'm gonna be right back in 5 minutes.
Okay. So Ryan, what got you to pick up goats? Oh, he is also muted. So
I'm
He's
sorry.
also-
Could you say that again, man?
Oh, so what got you to pick back up goats or pick up goats?
What got me to pick back up goats? Well, I've kind of like, I've had Yu-Gi-Oh in the back of my mind ever since I quit, really. And Kyle Bowling and Austin Coleman were playing a little bit more, and us three were like pretty close still. Like we still like travel and spend time together, and they were playing a lot more over quarantine, and I guess it's really the coronavirus, right? Brought us all together, and we were playing a lot last year, and that kind of piqued my interest. And then honestly, just seeing the organization kind of popping up and seeing the effort that y'all are putting into like building the community, that really it kind of encouraged me to put a little bit more time into it, because I felt like this could actually go somewhere. So that's part of it too. Yeah, that's kind of where it all came from, is just Austin Coleman, Kyle Bowling, and then also just seeing what y'all are doing. I think it's really cool, and kind of made me want to like be a part of it.
And you have a YouTube series now too, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I have a YouTube right now, and basically what I'm doing with that right now is I'm honestly just kind of probing for interest and just seeing if people just want to hear what I have to say about things. And I'm really interested in like content creation and all that stuff. So right now I've been producing, like, my goal right now is just to put out at least 2 videos a week. Indefinitely, and lately I've been doing more just like me playing, or like commentary or predictions, and just like pretty like straightforward stuff, nothing too intense. But what I've been trying to do is use a scheduling function on YouTube where I can schedule out videos for like weeks ahead, and then what I intend to do is use the extra time I create for myself by scheduling them to create more meaningful content that'll reach a broader audience. A series I'm working on right now is I kind of want to do like a documentary style series where I kind of like gather information from like all the Yu-Gi-Oh players throughout history who kind of did well in the game, and I kind of want to build like a library of like player profiles where I kind of create videos and kind of feature their accomplishments, and just kind of like let people get a closer look into who these people are and what kind of drove them in the game, what set them apart from the field, and just kind of build that library for people to kind of reference and look back on, and because I think it's an important thing for the community to have, and it's kind of inspired from the Yugi wiki. Like if you Google people's names from the community, there's usually like a wiki page about them that's kind of brief, And I just think that would be kind of a cool concept applied into video form and kind of turn it into a story and just have that database for people to look back on.
For sure. So we threw a link to Ryan's YouTube in the chat here if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
So going into game 2 here, Nano looking like maybe transitioned into a warrior package here, or was playing both that we didn't see before, but gonna open with Heavy Storm, Upstart, and Rhoda. It's a level 2. Clearing out Mystic Tomato. Oh, and IMZ1 did duo him.
Very typical set from what you see from decks playing Cyberstein, and that's a huge hit because Mystic Tomato is so versatile for these kinds of decks. Brings out Stein, brings out Sangan. You can bring out, if you're running Don Zalug somehow for some reason as like a side deck choice, it's so versatile out. And losing that is definitely huge. I think the Nano was very content. Was content that Mystic Swordsman did its job, took out a threat and a set card. Didn't mind with Tribe Infecting Virus taking it out.
Yeah, so I guess certainly a hybrid deck on the Nano side here. Now setting monsters.
IMZ1 just taking some thought. I was going to strike that face down. It's a DD Warrior. He's going to banish the Tribe Infecting Virus. Out it goes. I think that was a fairly solid banish, or else it's going to be destroyed by a Tribe Infecting Virus.
Even in cards here, so nobody really has the footing edge yet.
Even cards on both sides. No chaos for either player so far, as either graveyard has yet to be loaded up with lights and darks. This has been a very quiet game so far, as both players haven't really gone so aggressive. I think just one attack on both sides.
What's going on, Christian? Thanks for hanging out with us. I was wondering if maybe I had this wrong chat window up, but it looks like I am connected. So good to see the comment.
I hear a lot of people
appreciate you.
They complain when
getting
they first
in there.
come back to Goats or start playing Goats. Delinquent Duo was like their biggest complaint, and I think the more seasoned players will kind of argue against that a lot. Like even in a situation here, IMZ1 open duo, and you would almost not even know it based on the cards that both players have.
There's so many cards to offset it now too, with like Thunder Dragon, Night Assailant, Sinister Serpent. Now there are a lot of cards that kind of go against it now, so it's not as bad as it seems. But of course, when you use Delinquent Duo at the best time, of course, it's going to be a very crippling move.
I would say that's one of the stronger arguments for decks to run like the Thunder Dragon and like Night Assailant engine, is because it does mitigate some of those power cards.
It does.
But yeah, it's pretty annoying even to me still to get duoed, but you just got to accept it. It's going to be there.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like Tribe Dust Shoot. If you get it hit with opening turn, I mean, yeah, it sucks to be, right off the bat kind of hit with a negative, but I mean, that is the nature of the game. That is what it is. I mean, it's like that in every format. You can just be second and already be short stacked right off the bat.
Yeah, it goes both ways. It's going to suck for you, but it's also going to suck for them. So,
yeah.
I think I even prefer that GOAT format has a multiple trap dust shoots, so you can at least try to play around it, compared to when it's at one, it's like, well, you can't play around one trap dust shoot the entire game.
I agree completely, and also in deck construction, if you put triple dust shoot into your deck, you're gonna draw dead copies later on, and that's going to come back to hurt you every now and then. So I think I like allowing free copies because of the format is not going to be decided in a couple of turns most of the time.
it keeps the flow of the game going too, because if you have three dust shoots, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get hit with it eventually, so I'm gonna start maybe have a higher sense of urgency to maybe play cards and at least advance the game a little bit rather than just having like a stall fest between the two. And I think that's something that at least on a viewership standpoint, people don't want to see. It's just like this huge defensive game where nobody's doing anything. You want to see a little bit of offense at least, and that goes with like anything you watch, like any sport, any game, whatever. You want to see like some offensive action.
And in that way, I think we can almost be somewhat happy about Metamorphosis and Scapegoat seeing a bit less play, because when I started playing, everyone was on a Chaos Control, and those mirrors, a game could take almost an hour. Like, that was... You could sit until deck out and have 2,000 eyes stare down at each other for ages. And while that was very interesting, and those games were very hard to pilot, it was a slugfest for sure.
Yeah, that's actually something I've been contemplating too. Like, with the Clash of Champions tournament coming up, is because I'm just kind of coming back to the game a little bit, and I wouldn't consider myself like top of the field as far as like technical play goes. I kind of see myself leaning on the side of running a simplified deck of like Chaos Warrior or something, just because I think there's like a little bit less room for making like huge blunders. Whereas if you're playing a deck that's where you're seeing like turn, I don't know, 20, 30, I think there's a lot more margin of error. So I think like for players who maybe aren't as like, I don't know, like super tuned, like fine tuned for their play, I think like running a tempo based deck where you're just trying to simplify things as much as possible is probably a good call.
Right, you're playing with like 3 to 4 cards most of the duel compared to like 6 to 8.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like your decisions are a lot more straightforward, and you're not gonna like, hopefully won't make as many like huge mistakes. So it simplifies the game, and it's a little bit less like skill based, which is good if you're not as strong as your opponent.
And that's what a lot of players like about Code format, because the games tend to be longer than modern Yu-Gi-Oh games, and because of all these decisions you have to make when the games last 10 turns.
How
That
was
skill
this last-
really does come to show.
How was this last will just activated? Or how did it...
He just played it.
he normal summoned the Stein.
Yeah, he played Last Will and normal summon the Stein. Yep.
Gotcha. I'm just used to seeing Stein come off the last will, so...
Dragoon.
Yeah, he must have a follow up here. What's he gonna do?
Well, we saw a lot of targeting trap cards from the Nano. So Dragoon, even if he doesn't have a follow-up, could be a great play here.
There's Mirror Force, there's Torrential, there's
Which-
Tribe.
Which the last will
Wait, what?
go around
Oh,
the
he's
Mirror Force and Torrential.
Yeah, he wants to trigger a last will here by ramming the stop.
Oh, fair. Okay, because you can also you can use Last Will in the battle phase, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
that's so I see that was a cool play.
Oh.
Ouch.
And
The
they
book
had
on-
to go for King Dragoon. They couldn't go for Senshi because the battle damage would put them down to 900. So the Senshi wouldn't have been live for the Mirror Force. So they had to go for the Dragoon.
And the
And
book
now
on the
there's the
Koji is
book.
great.
Denying the last will to trigger. Does IMC1 have something here? Can they perhaps pop their own Stein? Actually, running Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, doesn't that seem worse than Rageki Break? When you're running Last Will for these scenarios, perhaps?
Yeah, that could make sense if you're really desperate and you need to trigger your Last Will.
At the same time, once you have summoned something like King Dragoon or Ryosenshi or even Master of Oz,
Yeah.
you just don't want your opponent to get draws to draw their out. And that's when Phoenix Wing Wind Blast can definitely shine. Oh wow. So the Book of Moon does resolve. Combat damage is dealt.
But he did it on his own to Koichi to get the extra draw.
That makes sense.
And it leaves this Stein in attack mode to possible lethal.
Yes.
So does IMC1 have any way of utilizing the will? They do not.
Yeah, just a hard minus.
Too bad Stein's not a dragon.
Has Stein
so?
OTK, like a dedicated Stein OTK,
I
seen
guess
any
that wouldn't
success?
matter. No.
Steinotke is a deck, and I think it's not as bad as people think, but no, can't say it has had success.
Almost everything it wants to do, Rescue Cat OTK does better.
Yeah, and if you go to the more extreme lengths to differentiate from Rescue Cat, then you're a worse version of Library and MTR. So it's kind of in between those. Also, Reasoning Gate I would think is probably a better deck. I mean, there are other options, but I think the deck is playable. I've lost to it before.
I liked it when Scapegoat was seen everywhere because you could play Token Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool because you could pay for Stein twice that way.
Yeah.
Does not flip the break. Wow, really values the last card there. Down to 400. So what are you holding on to?
Could he have a heavy?
Could also not have wanted to go super minus against a Solemn.
He top decked a Thunder Dragon, it looks like.
It definitely has to be the top deck, or else that would have been discarded.
So BLS, and we just knew they would draw the Thunder Dragon. It is IMC1 we're talking about. I mean, no. Dragoon attacks the Breaker, I would assume.
So Nano can potentially ring the Dekochi for game.
It's interesting too because he has just enough life points. If he has a Solemn, he'll still be alive. If he has to like
The
Solemn
ring would have been
response.
flipped by now.
DD Warrior Lady is one of the outs to Dragoon and is gone already. We don't know if Nano plays Tribe.
Chaos Sorcerer was the card. So they did keep a Chaos Monster, and they did top deck the Thunder Dragon. Very nice.
Well played.
Really risky too, but if you think about it, by keeping the Chaos Sorcerer, you know, there's probably going to be some kind of bait with it. Like one of the backers will probably use, and you obviously didn't want to use the Regeki Break on one of the monsters because it would really not provide any like real utility or any sense of getting so much advantage by taking out a monster. So holding that Chaos Sorcerer, just hoping that something comes along, seems to be working so far for IMZ1, and a great top deck with the Thunder Dragon.
And like Brian said, Solemn played, Ring's still live for game with that 25 life point difference.
But we can conclude he doesn't have Ring unless he just drew it though, because he would have definitely used the Ring on his Dekoichi with the Solemn for protection.
Yeah.
So King Dragoon has the effect of once per turn you can special summon one dragon monster from your hand. Thunder Dragon, however, not a dragon. But it is Thunder, so you can't really blame the name.
We always made that joke back in the day where Slate Warrior is a fiend, and yet the Fiend Mega Cyber is a warrior. Always a funny joke way back in the early days.
Huh.
I'm waiting for the day Fiend Mega Cyber gets played.
I think that card's very interesting, but I mean, yeah, especially with Goats not being played.
Yeah.
It's super cool. It's just unfortunate how bad it is.
Is there any consideration? Because like Cyber Dragon came out at the end of Goat format, right?
Yeah.
Cybernetic Revolution has some major issues beyond Cyber Dragon in it, being Cyber End Dragon, Cyber Twin Dragon, and it also has the trap card where you offer a water to get a confiscation on your opponent, and it also has the trap card where it inflicts
water art.
Water art.
Was that not?
It also has
why
Cybernetic Revolution.
That came out in Cybernetic Revolution.
Yeah, and it also has the trap card that does 200 damage for every spell in your grave.
Magical Explosion.
Yeah, Magical Explosion.
I see.
Which probably would be a good deck, I feel.
For sure.
So
that water.
this is the
Huh.
yeah, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I thought I had built up a deck trying to use the water art, and I don't remember the dueling book blocking me from using it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not legal.
Well, good to know.
So gotta go to game 3. The Dragoon's gonna do it.
Wow, that was insane. I never thought the Dragoon would get there. I thought Nano was busted. So summoning the Dragoon. Wow, nice heads up play there.
I feel like Cybernetic Revolution was around the time that that was like when I first really got into the competitive scene of Yu-Gi-Oh too. Like that's definitely like that was kind of the very beginning for me. I had just moved to Texas. I had just started meeting some of the better players and getting close to them, and
I had just started to get decent at Yu-Gi-Oh around then.
Yeah, that was same with me too. I finally graduated high school and went into college, and that was the time I started to get a little more competent in that sense. And once I entered college, that's when Cybernetic Revolution came out. Definitely changed up the
Yeah,
game for sure.
and I just started school.
Like kindergarten.
Yeah, around that time. So yeah,
And I feel kind of old now.
yeah, you are. You're pro. What are you? 32?
33.
33?
So, yeah,
Old man.
I'm up there. Yet still finding ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh at this age.
children's card game.
I couldn't imagine being like 12 years old and trying to play what current Yu-Gi-Oh is. At least Go Format, I think I could stumble my way through. But
I mean, that's kind of what I did when I was like 13. That was when XYZs were new. So I started playing like actual Yu-Gi-Oh at the first time when the wind-up loop was the meta.
Oh man.
Oh, great format.
So
to get
yeah,
into.
and in
that was a wild ride for sure.
and in comparison to what Yu-Gi-Oh is now, that's not even that bad.
Yeah, no, we had some good formats during that era as well. Playing
20
some on the format library. Please hit me up. We need more players. Wind up format library.
I'll play.
Not the loop though.
I'll play
after the
2012. Oh, I like before. I like the loop.
You like the loop?
Yeah, because I could play Rescue. I could play Rescue Rabbit is much better in that format.
But how could you want to play with the loop?
Loop's not that broken. It's worse after. I think it's worse after the loop with Shockmaster and crap.
Yeah, I don't agree. Whatever. So, Nano done siding first, which is a bit surprising because I would think Nano would have a more difficult time siding.
Yeah, he might just have like a select few cards for the specific matchup, and the decisions are made after. This is the third game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably just has a clear idea of like what he's putting in, and he's just sticking to it.
Honestly, one maybe is doing the P-Tranks P special, signing up with a weird deck, not having tested it.
Oddly, this is a strange mirror match of just teched out chaos decks.
Fun to see people daring to submit a list with a twist.
Although more standard cards from Nano than. Well, I don't know. He's playing Warrior and Chaos stuff and like Chaos flip cards mixed together, so that's pretty different. Would you call that kind of like a mid-range deck?
I mean, with terminologies, I come from Magic, right? So they don't really.
Parallel crossover.
They cross over somewhat, but it's a bit different. But yeah, I guess once you're playing Chaos and Warriors, you're a bit more mid-range. I agree. Yeah.
We haven't seen a tea set opening in a while in today.
Yeah, and that used to be the most common or pretty much the only opening.
Very common. I'd like it. I don't like committing too much to the board right off the bat if I can help it.
Yeah, T-set pass is that's my If I had a signature play, that's the one.
The only
Yeah,
thing
I
that
guess
makes me sad about
I
GOAT format is because of all the hand interaction with like Thunder Dragon and Night Assailants and Serpent is it makes the Stalos a lot worse, and it's like I've tried so much in GOAT format to make the Stalos work, but I've kind of concluded that it's just not as good because of all the hand protection cards, and it's just the Stalos can just be a straight up like minus, and it's just not as powerful when people have Serpent constantly in hand, and
say I've hit Sinister Serpent 2 turns in a row, and it feels terrible.
yeah, it's unfortunate because Soul Exchange into Salos is such an attractive option, but when there's all these freaking like Thunder Dragons and Night Assailants in play, it's like it's just I just don't think it's the right time. Maybe if there was a time when Chaos wasn't very popular, it could be good, but I don't think the time's now.
Yeah, it really came to prominence once Delinquent Duo got hit. Then the Stalos became probably one of the best monarchs to be in the game at that point.
I think
So
Serpent really
I was
hurts it.
playing against Chris Perovic in the Obelisk a while back, and he did use his Monarch deck against me,
Yeah.
and I got so lucky. But it didn't matter. He did hit the Serpent with the Festalos, but I don't know. He beat me either way. I think there's just quite a bit to be said about Monarchs. I think that deck does have a bit more potential than people thought.
Well, it's another Decree Kaiku engine.
Sure. So turn 1 Dragoon. Let's see if the Dragoon can get it done this time around as well.
6 cards to work with for Nano.
I really like this engine. Turntable, Stein, Last Will. Just splashing it, I think that's attractive. Of course, Upstart being played does make it a bit better.
I think Cyberstein's definitely an underrated card though. Very, very versatile.
So powerful.
You think the Nano's hiding a couple of bluffs back there to try to scare off Iams one with Dragoon and Stein being out there?
Could be.
It's possible he has, at least one face down for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if he's got the Mirror Force, he's going to want to try to hide it to a Mystical or Dust Tornado, too, so...
And here's a situation, Ryan, where you mentioned the Upstart Goblin being played when you're running several copies of Magician of Faith. It was the only spell card in the Nano's deck at that point in time, so making it at least a little bit live.
Yep.
Graveyard, right? But
So quite interesting how to approach this if you're IMC1. I
So-
would probably just swing with the Dragoon and see what happens. If there's a Mirror Force, then tough luck.
that's what's kind of cool, too. Is like this whole deck isn't just based on Cyberstone. So, like, if this Dragoon goes, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
Although it's definitely back to an even game.
yeah, it's kind of like sometimes you win, sometimes it's a brick, you know.
It won't be a kill shot for Iams at one if both these attacks go through, because Toon Cannon Soldier attributing all three isn't going to be enough. Just leave him just a little bit short. By 300.
And Toon Cannon with the drawback of it cannot attack the turn as normal summoned.
I'm C1 thinking here. Bit tricky how to approach this.
Gotta say,
So
it's,
with that, yeah.
Oh,
There's
go
the
ahead.
Hexwell. Ooh.
Yeah. So if there's a Mirror Force, perhaps the second Dragoon is gonna come out right after this one.
Do you think that the Toon Cannon Soldier is going to come down and tribute either itself or Cyberstein, and then go from there? And then King Dryden will start the attack, and then maybe summon a monster in the battle phase and keep going.
Yeah. No, decides to just Play it in case of the battle trap, the mirror force.
Yeah, because that's going to make them think twice about maybe playing it. But either way, that last wheel is going to go off.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and if they don't flip the mirror force, then we're maybe dead to ring. So yeah, let's see what they can get here. I don't know what good targets are there. Like
Sangan?
Sangan? Yeah,
Sangan.
I mean,
Maybe
Don Salute
Tomato.
would be nice.
Maybe Tomato if you're worried about battle, but Don Zalug I would
Sure.
love in this situation. He's a big Don Zalug fan.
We have
Actually-
seen Tomato.
Yep. Actually, in fact, Ryan, I still have that that Don Zalug you sent me a very long time ago. I still have it in my binder.
Nice. You said signed or sent?
Signed.
Awesome. What event did that take place? Do you remember?
I honestly forget because I've had so many people like back when I was
Yeah.
not well known. I had all like the famous players.
It was a
sign
big
all my
thing.
Don Zalugs.
Yeah. I still have a play mat with just like it has like 50 signatures on it. Yeah, it was good times, man. I really can't imagine a better way, like growing up, than getting to experience like Yu-Gi-Oh! And travel and compete. Like it was just so cool. It was like almost a decade of my life, like throughout high school and early college, just traveling and making awesome friends, having like seeing different parts of the United States. It was really awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
So when is this happening?
He's main phase 2, second last willed, and then tribute summoned for a Thunder Dragon.
And you can use double last will, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you think the Mirror Force was necessary last turn? Because
So
he could have taken the damage and made Last Will not go through, and then have Mirror Force for this turn.
Thing is,
Well, he
you're
had
able
two
to
Kiddo
ring,
Soldier in his
and there
hand.
was the Thunder Dragon.
Oh, he had two. But he summoned the Stein that turn, so he couldn't have summoned the Cannon Soldier.
No, the Stein was actually.
Oh, you're
already
right. You're
out,
right.
so-
I'm
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So, yeah. So last will was going to go off either way.
I gotcha. Yeah, so just might as well.
And
just
also,
save the
even if
damage.
that wasn't the case, you could still argue that it's necessary because of the ring consideration long term.
So young, sexy MF has eliminated Moxies from the event.
Nano has to be really patient because they know that IMZ1 has a Toon Cannon Soldier in the hand, so virtually almost playing with 3,400 life points in a sense that the Toon Cannon Soldier can go off and burn for the rest of it and make sure that they can't allow too much monster presence on the board to be able to get that cheap damage in.
Or flip a Solemn.
Yeah, so you've got to be very careful and very calculated if you're Nano. Be patient, but you got to find the right timing to pick your spot in this case.
Right. That Toon Cannon in hand has practically turned off Ring of Destruction and Solemn Judgment for the Nano.
Yeah, burn damage is quite oppressive. When you can't afford to use your life total as a resource, you have to play so much tighter.
I mean,
Yep.
Like plays you don't want to make.
Yeah,
back in 2005 Nationals, we saw Rymus Lizo top 8 Nationals with a copy of Toon Cannon Soldier in the deck, or regular
Ooh.
Cannon Soldier in the deck.
Oh.
This goes
I know.
Thundering a Serpent, very strong of course.
I know, Lucas, with you having a Magic background, there are plenty of cards out there that do like just very minor burn damage. Especially when you play red decks. But here in Yu-Gi-Oh, we don't have a lot of cards that really have like burn cards on the side. So like being able to score effect damage in this game is almost a premium in a sense if you can especially like terrorize your opponent at least in the psychological sense and keep them on edge with it.
For sure.
Able to
I mean, at one point,
get that
Magic
cheap.
Cylinder was considered a staple.
It really was. There have been so many times where I've just refused to attack just because be patient, but you got to find in the game the right timing to make so many reads playing around it. But then again, I feel like that card's also helped me become a better player because it's taught me, when to have some restraint, when to push.
So
when
guys,
not
I'm
to
trying to
push.
get the stream
It's really taught me to help
sorted out
not
right now.
overextend
I'm
in-
lowering
in
the bit
plays.
rate, so
Magic
hopefully
Cylinder's
it'll
a
be
big part of that.
little bit
that learning
smoother.
process in my mind.
Moving forward. Sorry about
So
all the
IC1
buffering.
is putting a lot of pressure
Looks
here.
like it should be good moving
Nano
forward. So.
does not appear to have much action going on.
And the last devastating one that I think eventually we're going to start seeing, because there's Solemn Judgment has just become the meta at this point, is when does Ceasefire just become a card?
Yeah, a Magic Cylinder as well. I mean, you could get someone with it, especially out the side deck.
How many games is your opponent at 4,000 by the third turn?
I mean, every game I play against Warriors.
But that Toon Cannon Soldier threat is now gone.
It is gone. I'd still say though that was a good bait of Nobleman of Crossout.
Yeah.
I would be completely fine with that if I was MZ1 having that card be hit.
Well, Magician of Faiths are gone though, so what are you baiting it for?
Well, it's actually pretty nice. The if IMZ is definitely or not definitely, if he is playing return, having the tune or having the cannon soldier removed is pretty deadly.
True.
Especially when you're at 2,500 life.
We have not seen the return yet though.
Yeah, he might not be playing it, but
I wouldn't think he is, but could be for sure.
I don't think so either at this point. I think it's just literally just teched in the Toon Cannons and the last wills.
Here we see the typical standby phase Regeki Brick to bring up the Serpent once again. Imagine IC1 is going to swing with these two, and then perhaps set the Serpent, main phase 2.
Brian, how
Probably
important,
not.
Brian, how important would you say for getting a Sinister or doing it in the standby phase is, or things similar to it, of getting through an entire long day of a tournament, of never making those little mistakes?
how important? I mean,
That's like the difference of someone who wins a tournament or doesn't win a tournament.
definitely, yeah, 100%. Could be good, especially if you're missing those kind of things, then you're probably missing other things as well. And over the course of like, I don't know, 10 rounds, I mean that's probably going to cost you at least like 1 or 2 games, right? So could just cost you the tournament.
Well, think of it this way. Yeah, I mean, think of it this way. Like, there's so many cards that are just cutting right now. When you see, like, Reaper the Hit, Don's Lug will be able to strip out of cards in, Delinquent Duo. Those are cards that you're stripping out of your hand. And, cards are being able to have, like, card advantage is a premium. And then, not to mention, when it's in the graveyard, it's going to be vulnerable to a very common card like Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, which is, meant to shut down Chaos decks. And being able to banish a Sinister Serpent, it really puts the other player behind.
Whoa!
Second Toon Cannon.
Oh, wow.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is so sweet. Nice.
Is this
Good.
is this the undefeated bracket or
No, this is the catch the decks while we're still in tournament bracket.
gotcha? Okay.
Heno needs a monster here. And even so, does IMZ1 have something to stop it? That's,
Wow. So Nano is still alive.
Man, I did not expect a second copy of Toon Cannon Soldier.
yeah,
So
that's
something I was going to mention, why did they use the Wind Blast on the Tomato and not the Thunder Dragon?
a good question.
Oh,
That's going to provide
that's
some
probably
insurance.
game.
It's going to provide insurance.
Wow.
I wonder if that's a
nice.
torrential tribute set. That's what I think that is. Oh, it's a solemn judgment. Oh.
That was judgment.
IMZs took it
That was
down.
enough.
Wow,
one
that was
card too
so
late.
close.
Great game.
That was a ridiculous game. Very cool to see.
Seeing that second Toon Cannon really shows you how fast that deck was built to get out the Fusion Cyberstein turn 1.
So winner's bracket is coming along nicely. Oh, Lucas is playing as AJT BLS.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that right now.
I love AJ. AJ is like, yeah, he's
AJ has been on the fringe of getting a Worlds invite for about a year and a half now. It was very close all last season, has come close this year, and maybe this will be the tournament.
and he's such a good guy. I love the guy.
Fun guy.
It's great.
I feel like I've heard AJ's name passed around. Is he the guy who plays Agrobomb a lot? AJ
No,
TBLS
it's
or
more of a cat and or a warrior player.
a cat? A cat? What do you mean? Like
Rescue cat.
rescue cat with like death koalas and secret barrels and stuff?
Yeah, and Last Will. Milus Radiant.
Okay, I think that's kind of what I was referring to. But
Waku Geyer Panda or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure. I just call that the cat when it plays cat.
Yeah.
No, they are distinctively different decks. The deck that AJ plays more, it goes for like the cat OTK, whereas the aggro bomb one is trying to win over turns and doesn't even play rescue cat a lot of times.
Yeah, I think the distinction is the cat. Discards. Wow, snipes the graceful. That's AJ's luck for you.
Oof.
Alright, my food is done, so I'll get off. I'll be back in half an hour or so. See you around.
Thanks, Lucas.
So 3 back rows and a Blade Knight for Lucas. After that crippling delinquent duo.
Got the Drake card sleeves.
Yes, sir.
So game 1 was a draw, and AJ won the last duel.
So I was unaware you can upload custom card sleeves, huh?
If you donate to Dueling Book, you can, yeah. I think it's like $1 a day.
$1 a day?
Yeah, so if you buy like for $10, you get like 10 days of custom.
Interesting. Okay. That's a way to monetize it. That's cool.
Definitely a way for sure. So now we're seeing 4 back rows to 4 back rows. Now is a delinquent duo of AJ's own. Coming down on Lucas. Wonder what 2 cards are going to be stripped here.
Oh, Lucas saying misplay.
Such a bad misplay. Oh, and he's going to use that Dust Tornado to set one of those cards to kind of limit it. Smart play from Lucas.
You know, I was just about to say the warrior deck can't really Argeki break around duo, but there's another route with Dust Tornado.
That's a really nice way.
So we're just seeing a back row war so far between these two.
I think we're looking at a warrior mirror here.
Yeah, that's what it looks like so far. Lucas going to make the pass, go back to AJ. Will we see a monster? Oh, we're just seeing mirrored plays. And that Dust Tornado play just kept Lucas at a +1. Blade Knight coming down finally. He's going to see some offense, and that's going to be maxed out. Torrential Tribute's going to clear him out. Play is just quickly turning between these two players. And again, we're going right back to what we saw a couple turns ago. Just 4 back rows apiece for each player. No monsters. Luke is going to pass. Going to go right back to AJ.
So, David, have you been competing in any of these tournaments as of late?
I personally haven't. I've just been doing the commentating side. I don't know if Nick knew or not when he asked me to come on, but I've done actual professional sports broadcasting on top of this. I don't know. Scully, did you actually know that I did that as well on top of this?
Only from you mentioning it in your podcast.
Okay, got it. So
What,
it was just a stroke of luck that you knew that I did that for a living as well.
What kind of sports commentating have you been doing?
Hockey, lacrosse, football. I've once done roller derby too. That was actually on my first day in the job. I did roller derby. But those are the 3 main sports that I do. That's why we've seen some passive play from both players. It was a solemn judgment war. Don's Luke, one of my favorite cards. Gonna strip down. It's a great card also to bait out a lot of back rows.
Is there anywhere I can see your commentating? Is it like video commentating where you're on camera, or is it more audio?
Both ends. So I can definitely show you some, and I have a journalism background as well. So I know you've got you started a podcast a couple weeks ago, so I can definitely offer you some help and advice if you ever want want anything on that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's connect and just talk. It'd be cool.
For sure. I'd love to have you on too in a few weeks' time as well, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be good to get some of your perspective on things. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have you on my podcast too in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
I would love to have you on. Lucas right now facing with 3 back rows against AJ, who's Don's Luke has been able to put some work in and able to fend off with that snatch steal.
I think that call is really going to be a clutch play right now.
It definitely will.
Ooh.
Mystic Swordsman right off the top. He's going to try to contend with that face down card, which could be DD Warrior Lady. It's the most likely scenario, considering it's a Warrior Chaos deck, or at least a Warrior deck.
That's funny. Jocelyn's a 625 just fading lethal.
Oh my, yep. And the Blade Knight just taking it down Don's Loop will just leave him at 25 life points. So this is going to be
How often do you see that?
Hilarious number. Yeah, exactly. It's a hilarious number to see. And there's the scoop from AJ. 25 life points.
This is a real nut. This is like a really close fight. They actually tied a game too. So it's 1-1-1, and they were down to the 25. Yeah, very, very rare match.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely.
Again, it's really odd to me to be seeing the Mystic Swordsman level 2 in game 2. Games 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, especially when you go against like a warrior kind of chaos kind of deck. Like you don't really see a lot of set monsters, so I wouldn't side in a Mystic Swordsman level 2 against those kinds of decks. So, I mean, but that's just me in that sense. But it came through at its most important time.
Yeah, it was definitely timely in that situation.
100% it was.
Moxies is gonna hop on commentary.
Hello.
What's up, Moxies? How are you?
Hey, Moxies?
Hello. I'm good.
Yeah, we've seen quite some play from you that have I don't want to say raised eyebrows per se, but definitely different and unorthodox. But it seems to be throwing everybody for a loop whenever you get those duels in.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I had a bad day, but it's fine.
I mean that happened.
Are you out, Moxies?
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen your name around a little bit. Haven't really met you personally, but just kind of getting more involved in the community. I have definitely seen your name, heard your name, so I'm guessing you're one of the stronger players in the field.
Over the last couple months, yeah.
Yeah.
Still relatively new. Love your channel too, by the way. I've been watching it all the time.
Really? Okay, awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Sorry, I haven't been watching this game very much. Is it game 3, 4?
Game
I guess I see
4.
a draw. So.
Game 4.
Yeah.
1-1-1.
It's been very back and forth. The last game,
Quite a track.
AJT was down to 25 life points at one point.
Oh wow.
Before he lost, yeah. Lucas getting a DD Warrior Lady off reinforced from the army to AJ's 3 back rows and a set monster. Warrior Lady's going to come out to play. It's going right in, no hesitation. See if there's a response from AJ. Oh, a DD Warrior Lady of his own. So now the question is are either of them going to make the choice to banish both of them? It's like, and Lucas has made that answer for me.
So in that situation, it's been a while for me. Does the player who has like the turn, do they decide first if they're going to remove?
Yeah, so in that case, Lucas is going to be able to decide if they want to make the removal first, and then it'll be on AJ.
Okay, yeah. Because
It'll be
like
the
turn player has priority and then passes to your opponent. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have the first to make the action.
So are there any general conclusions you've made about GOAT format in general, Moxies? Like, I'm kind of curious to hear what like just general ideas you have about the game at the moment and and like what's good, what's overrated, what's underrated?
I think Warriors are the best deck, and honestly, I don't think it's. I think it's by a substantial amount, to be honest. And I think at the moment, Chaos Control is super overrated. Personally, for me.
Jin Shenhu gonna lock down the two back
I
rows for AJ. Oof.
I wouldn't say I disagree with that. Those are some of the same conclusions I've been finding myself. So
Well, the Warrior cards, just in general, especially for the meta we're at right now, is they're just super consistent at doing what they do. And if you give a strong player a deck that's super consistent and will continuously like do what it's built to do, you're just gonna win a lot.
yep. Yeah, and I think one of the advantages that the Warrior engine has is, I mean, a Rhoda, it can give you an answer for a face down, a face up. It just gives you outs. You can go for their hand, you can go for their spell and trap games too for a Cliff. So I mean, just one card being able to like answer 4 different scenarios is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas you just don't see that kind of versatility in chaos decks.
Looks like
That's
we've got
very true.
looks like we got a chain going on. Breaker targeting Jing Shenhu. Dust Tornado being chained to just take out Call of the Honda, which is attached to Don's Luke. Oh, one of my favorite monsters is primed for destruction. Just so that way there's no Book of Moon or anything to help save it afterwards, is my presumption.
So AJT just took a strong lead there.
That was an interesting Dust Tornado, just because Don's Luke honestly is one of the weaker cards in this matchup. Like in the mirror, it's a really weak card, and almost all of your monsters are going to be bigger than a Breaker without a token and Don's Luke. So it's kind of interesting. You wanted to get rid of that really badly.
I think
the
it's a
Dogs
factor of the life point situation because
Yeah, he just doesn't want to get ringed.
I mean, if the extra 14, he'd be at 19, so it just gives him extra turns, I guess. I mean,
Not so much of just Don's Luke on the board just really forces you to play differently, because if you're like already back against the wall, like you have to commit to the board, or else Don's Luke's going to strip every single card out of your hand, which is what you don't want. So again, just even the thought of Don's Luke, it just really makes you play the game differently. And there was a Book of Moon set that was talking about Jing Shenhu, so it was a good call by Lucas to play that Dust Tornado right off the bat before Jing Shenhu got broken. Or else that Don's Luke could have been saved.
This game's just going to be over right now.
So that Book of Moon on the Breaker was a great play from AJ's part, reading the Snatch Steal.
Yeah. And a Smashing Ground worst case scenario. This should just be game.
Yeah, there's got to be a Chaos Monster here in my mind. Oh, no. It's Kaiku. That's going to be enough. 34.
That's crazy. Good for AJ.
And match goes to AJ. Great job taking down one of the
well played,
bigger
AJ.
players of the scene.
Yeah, Lucas is definitely, arguably, probably the hottest player at the moment.
So that's a huge win. Big feather in his cap goes to AJ.
That's crazy for AJ too, because like Scully was saying earlier, that AJ's been really close for a long time now to get a Worlds invite, and this win puts him into the 1-win spot. Like he's 1 win away.
We're going to go into Taz versus Mr. Big Noodle.
Taz, Mr. Big Noodle.
Taz, ex-Taz versus Mr. Big Noodle. And if you're just joining us here, this is Gate Guardian 44, aka David Bowie. Here I'm here with Moxie's Ryan Spicer and Scully, and aka Nick Palermo. And Lucas Gustafsson is out on a lunch break right now. It is about that time.
Is there a
Join
place
us here in
to
good format.
is the bracket on challenge being constantly updated?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at that. I'm gonna see like
Yep,
who's
it's there.
remaining in it.
There'll be no graveyard touching here with Necro Valley and Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer out. Mr. Big Noodle already putting an aggressive control play. Taz going to start their turn. That's a great way to kind of break through with Skilled Dark Magician, just having 100 attack higher. That's pretty much the
Ooh.
reason why you're running that card. Not because of its effect, but more of its stats.
It looks
And
like
then it
we're
is a dark.
looks like we're seeing a Necro Valley deck do well. Then that's pretty cool.
It's control, yeah, just anti-chaos in the sense.
Yeah,
with,
from
Necro Valley.
from what I'm hearing, Mr. Big Noodle teched his deck out really, really badly to stop Chaos decks.
Moxies, what do you think of running a copy of Archfiend Soldier over Skill Dark Magician?
He's light, right? He's a light target.
No, he's
What
dark,
is it? Oh, he is dark.
but he's not. But he's not a spellcaster. So it doesn't lead into positions of Breaker and Skill Dark dying from a tribe, or having to use your own tribe and kill Gravekeeper spies and your Skill Dark at the same time potentially. But it is 200 defense less.
You know, I think the defense part of him being on the wall, like Tsukiyomi, is kind of overrated. It actually doesn't come up that much. So, you know, that sounds like an interesting thing to try.
But that 200 also makes it in range of Blade Knight if it gets to defense mode, and that's a card that's probably one of the most utilized cards right now in GOAT format.
Right.
Is Blade Knight.
That's the argument against it.
Yeah.
Is Blade and Tribe can attack over it when it's in defense.
Yeah.
Mr. Big Noodle right now thinking 6 cards in hand, but got the Necro Valley on board.
Scully, what card were you just talking about with the light attribute?
No, it's not a light. It's a dark. Archfiend Soldier is the card we're talking about.
Archfiend Soldier. I gotcha.
Yeah. There's no pure light 1900 monster you can play other than Thunder Nyan, who, if you have a non-light on the board, is automatically destroyed.
So I'm kind of looking over the brackets right now, and it's not super intuitive to me. This is a little bit new on my end, so I'm trying to make sense of it all.
Oh, the double elimination?
Yeah, just all the brackets going on. Just trying to make sense of it.
So used to Swiss, right?
Yeah.
This is a game. This has got to be post game 1. I don't think Mr. Big Noodle mains Berserk Gorilla.
Oh, so this is an interesting play, and it's going to bite Mr. Big Noodle here. Had the Berserk Gorilla to just be able to take down the Skill Dark Magician. It's funny, he's going 100 attack over another 100 attack, but now it gets loose to Mirror Force. But at least for Mr. Big Noodle, the Skill Dark Magician's removed off the board because 1900 attack is a pretty big stick here in GOAT format.
He got bit right in the big noodle on that one.
It is.
There's a small stream delay, right? I can talk a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. 3
Okay,
minutes.
yeah. So Taz, I don't know if many people here know Taz, but he's a luxury player,
Hey,
and
James.
he's like
Thanks
an
for the,
alt account essentially. He likes to
thanks
keep his
for the
privacy,
feedback,
but
James. I
he's a
will let
former
Scully
winner
know that.
of something somewhere. He plays a really interesting deck too. It's like a warrior that sides into monarchs. It's a fun deck.
Ooh, quite the interesting combination.
Hey, Scully. Also, someone just commented in the chat that your volume is a little bit lower than everyone else's. I have noticed it too, but
Okay.
just thought to bring it to your attention.
Thanks.
So reinforcement of the army comes down for Tazek's task, but he decided to set 2 back rows before playing that reinforcement of the army, probably trying to dodge the trap dust shoot in case Mr. Big Noodle has that set. Getting Don Zalug. One of my favorite cards. Great way to
Taz.
find out if that back row's
Yeah, I think the big noodle here is in tough shape. I mean, he kind of gave it away himself, where it looks like he made a mistake, and he says game losing play by me. So he's just kind of in desperation mode, I'm guessing at this point. And
If he does have Spy in the deck to go
he
with
can get
Necro
saved.
Valley, there's
Yeah.
a pretty
Well,
huge wall.
He definitely does.
giant wall. Oh my. Ring of Destruction is going to take out Kaiku. And now Taz firmly in control of this game. 3 cards in his hand to none for Mr. Big Noodle, only with 2 back rows and a Necro Valley. But how many of those cards are actually dead because of it? A Ring of Destruction back. Is there a follow-up monster on Taz to kind of supplement his defense a little bit? The answer is no. This could be Mr. Big Noodle's opening.
Spear Soldier.
Spear Soldier would have 2,000 with piercing, but the Torrential Tribute will knock it away. A good call by Taz to take that down, because 2,000 attack is very difficult to contend with. Blade Knight gets dropped for Taz.
Yeah,
You know, wonder
Big
if
Noodle's gonna need to draw something to get rid of that Blade Knight, or else they're gonna be in tough shape because
Yep.
next turn's gonna end it.
Sending 2 more back row to increase the attack by 400, and now this will at
See if
least
it-
contend with any Spear Soldier that comes out.
Oh man, I was gonna say let's see if he draws a spy.
Well, this could be just as good. Exiled Force is, the only card that can really contend with it, unless they want to set DD Warrior Lady. They just want to get rid of this card right off the bat.
I mean, they should just, if he just has any other monster in a solemn set, it should just be over.
Yeah, is this the kill shot for Taz? Tribe Infecting Virus can work.
I'm gonna say this is game right here. He hasn't
It
used
is
that back row
game.
yet. That's probably a bluff face down.
And that's
Yeah.
going to be
Oh,
game
it was
one.
game one. Interesting.
Yep, and it turns out that the Snatch Steal, after all, well, the Skilled Dark Magician was the turning point in that, and I think Mr. Big Noodle maybe could have been on tilt from making that move as Taz able to take game one.
Yeah, you definitely think he got a little greedy there because like both the other plays were like in my opinion safer and gave you just as much value, like snatching and forcing out the back row or just trying to attack over it and holding the snatch because he wasn't really in any danger of losing next turn. Seemed kind of like pretty greedy.
Yeah, and you can also make the argument, even though I don't think it's the greatest play, but you could play Snatch Steal after you get Mirror Forced by the Berserker Earl to at least have some kind of like monster defense in that sense. But just decided, let's go for the life points, and that's going to cost him dearly.
This is Big Noodle's first time getting this far in an event, so possibly some nerves or.
Yeah, no, that's true. That definitely happens to players.
Yep, we've all had it before, and I've definitely had it, and so for sure the nerves can play a role in this. There's a lot of psychological games that can be played here in GOAT format, for sure.
I wonder if he keeps the Necro Valley in, and it's not great versus Warriors, but it does stop the revivals, and if he's playing the Chaos Engine, it can hurt that. So it's not the worst card. I don't know if I keep it in though, but he might.
So what's interesting is if you do main deck just to beat either Chaos Turbo or just to beat Chaos Warrior, you can then just have almost your entire side be to beat the other deck. It puts you a little vulnerable to these like a burn or FTK or something by doing that, but the meta has gotten pretty tight where I think it's a viable strategy.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like the a lot more of like hedging for certain decks and then just playing your side deck for something else because you're right. Yeah, it's really become less common to even run into these random decks now.
Which we saw last weekend with Zombies taking first place.
Yeah, is Petron still in? Petron was using his deck.
He is.
Oh, sweet.
Both these players taking their time and side decking and finally getting to it. Mr. Big Noodle up 1-0. Sorry, Taz 1-0 over Mr. Big Noodle here. The Talenko duo is going to come right off the bat for Mr. Big Noodle. Ring of Destruction is going to be the first card to go. Let's see what the second one is. Rip again, a trap. Typically, we see a lot of monsters be discarded with from when possible, at least from Graceful Charity. So Ring of Destruction, definitely a big card. So that's going to be one less sneaky win that Taz is going to have, possibly.
I want to see if he discards one of his, if he decided to go the Monarch route, and if he has to discard one of the pieces for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of extensive time on figuring out what the second card is going to be discarded. So DD Warrior Lady is going to be the second card. And let's see what follow-up Mr. Big Noodle has here to supplement this giant turn of discarding two very powerful cards out of Taz's hand.
Wow, so Big Noodle is in winner semis?
He is.
Yes.
That's very fun to see.
Oh, welcome back, Lucas. Back from his lunch break.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll relinquish the play-by-play back to you now.
No, that's okay.
Mr. Big Noodle still trying to figure out what his play is going to be after discarding with Delinquent Duo, hitting the DD Warrior Lady and Ring of Destruction. I don't wonder what kind of play are they thinking? Monster set right at the bat, and a Necro Valley right again, which we saw from the last game as Necro Valley went down right off the bat. So will we finally see Gravekeeper's Spy on Mr. Big Noodle's end? And that could spell some trouble for Taz if they don't have any way to contend with it.
What game is this?
This is game 2 as Mr. Big Noodle lost the first game.
So this is this is a little off topic, but I'm having trouble finding the format library zombie deck y'all are referring to. I just want to take a quick look at that while we're all here. It's formatlibrary.com, right?
I don't believe it's been posted.
Yeah, they haven't. Jazz hasn't updated since the last FLC yet.
Makes sense. Okay.
And it is the Gravekeeper's Spy. Great combination with Necro Valley. Great way to stop the Blade Knight.
Yes. It's gonna be a tough one to get around for sure. And he likely doesn't have smashing since he's set 4 back row, so.
Gravekeeper Spy, popularized by both Max Suffrage and Lazaro Bolito. That has been a popular card, especially with Monarchs too. 2000 defense was absolutely huge back then. So our main phase 1, does Mr. Big Noodle have any kind of counterattack?
I remember just kind of getting into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitive scene around like the GOAT format era, and I remember seeing Max Suffrage's deck and coverage from like the TCG magazine. I forget what magazine it was, but I think it was a subscription I had, and I just remember reading about that, building up his deck, and just being so blown away at how good it was. And I took it to my locals, and it performed really well, and it was like one of the first like actual competitive decks I built up and started like doing well with. So definitely memorable.
Blind MST hitting a Solemn Judgment. That's actually a tremendous hit, and that'll
I feel a heavy
give Mr.
coming.
Big Noodle some. So Mr. Big Noodle now will have a little bit more room to play with. Here comes a Berserk Gorilla that must attack during the battle phase. Ryan, that wouldn't happen to be Beckett's magazine, would it?
That might. It kind of sounds. It sounds right, but
It's the one with the 3000 attack. Earth guy is on it. The machine. What's his name?
Oh, Ancient Gear Golem.
Yeah, he's like hollow on the cover of that magazine.
Ah, I see.
is that a Beckett or?
Yeah, it's a Beckett.
Okay. Do they still make those?
No, they stopped that a long time ago, and I remember going into Chapters, which was the Canadian equivalent of Barnes and Noble, and I would read those Beckett magazines all the time. So Mr. Big Noodle has opted to put a Gravekeeper Spy in attack mode and has ran the Berserker Gorilla into the Blade Knight and Spy going direct. I wonder if there's a Book of Moon that's hiding behind Mr. Big Noodle.
Someone's got to tell him that's.
I'm already. You guys, you're on it already. Okay. As we all jump to get that extra 500 off of there.
17 got tacked off of Taz. I think they're just making that adjustment, and there it goes.
Easy mistake.
Yeah, I remember every time going to like a Target or something and looking for those Beckett magazines. Definitely a memorable time when I was younger.
I still have it somewhere. I need to find that magazine. I kept it because Labani top 8'd that Nationals too, so he was in it. So
Okay, did you grow up with Labani, so you knew him personally?
yeah, we're all from the same city. Me, him, and Ivan Flores.
Yeah, I've definitely met Labani a few times, but I don't think I've really talked to him a ton, just because I think he kind of left the game at a certain point, right?
Yeah, around 2008.
Yeah, so he left really early, like a couple years into
Well,
the competitive scene.
You will have your chance to talk to him because I hear you accepted to join my podcast. So
Oh yeah, man.
a couple weeks from now, yeah,
he-
LeBounty's going to be on it with you, so you'll have a chance to talk to him.
Cool. Yeah, your friend messaged me last
Yeah,
night.
Cameron.
Cameron. Okay. Yeah, he messaged me last night, and yeah, this sounds super fun to me. I don't know if he relayed the message yet to you.
He did, yes. It'll be you, LeBounty, and Carl Waite.
Okay. And did he relay the message about the video and stuff, or?
Yeah, we can talk about that stuff later.
Okay. Yeah.
So Ninja Grandmaster is an out here. He can attack over the attack mode spy and then still have the answer for the other one.
Yep, he can take out either spy, but I would imagine you'd want to go over the attack mode spy here to get 100 life points of damage in there. Every life point does count.
I was actually going to bring that up last turn. I thought it was a little greedy to switch the spy to attack because one, if it hit another mirror force, you're in big trouble because of Suzuki, and two,
What?
this puts a lot of pressure too.
Opting for the defense mode one here.
Why would you possibly do that?
It's questionable thought indeed, because they can take out the attack mode spy. So
And save life points too.
yeah.
Oh wait, does Ninja activate before?
Yeah.
No, at the start of the damage
Start of
step.
damage step.
So
No damage taken here.
So no damage. Okay, I guess that's why.
Yeah, there'll be no damage here. So
Playing around reinforcements or rush recklessly here.
Yeah, yeah. Rush recklessly.
Moon.
It could be rushed recklessly,
So
but they're playing around.
So the Grandmaster effect won't trigger because of this, and this is going to score some more. And that, again, I alluded to Book of Moon being there in Mr. Big Noodle's hand, considering they switched the spy to attack modes, and that's why I figured that was the case. And sure enough,
I wonder if he goes for a different spy that can get over, or a different gravekeeper that can get over Suzuki.
Yeah, I
That's
expect
the
a spear
question
soldier, a spear soldier,
Yeah,
or
guess so.
assailant. Yeah.
Assailant, great card.
I guess Assailant is even better because when you run it over through a Sakaret's armor.
Oh, because yeah, he can declare it, put it in defense, and if they Sakaretsu it, he can still swing with the spy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Funny enough, if you go with Gravekeeper Assailant against the Berserk Gorilla, that'll trigger a replay. And Gravekeeper Assailant can attack again and still declare its effect.
That's
Oh,
really
that-
cool.
Ooh, that's not a delinquent duo you want to use, as it discards Sinister Serpent out of Mr. Big Noodle's hand.
Looks like we might see a game 3.
You
Sinister
might-
does work under Necro Valley.
Yes, it does.
Itself.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're Mr. Big Noodle, you're feeling pretty comfortable because he didn't mirror force you last turn on a board you would probably mirror force if you had it. So like you can feel pretty confident in attacking.
Yeah.
So you gotta wonder, what are those back rows that Taz is hiding? I can probably assume that Mirror Force is not one of them, and this is not a good board to be seeing here.
Yeah,
Are
it is
you
kind of
guys
odd to see
confident?
It's odd to see Serpent being played in this Gravekeeper deck. That Snatch Steal is something else.
That's going to help the cause. Now Spy can't run over either of them.
That's huge. He could clear both those next turn.
Yeah, it's going to come out. This draw phase is going to be incredibly important.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to put a clock. Now they're going to remember the Sinister Serpent here. Mr. Big Noodle, what seemingly was going to be in a great position now, just flipped around for one snatch steal. And what was that card that Big Noodle drew?
What's going on, Christian? What's going on, James? Thanks for hanging out. Welcome back, Christian.
Gravekeeper, Mr. Big Noodle said, which I'm assuming is
Not a
Spear
whole lot of
Soldier.
talking going on for me because we have
But
the
I
other
don't know
guys
why it
in the
matters.
chat to consider, but I think they're giving some awesome,
Well, Assailant can take out those
awesome
spies.
commentary and,
by turning them
and
to
feedback.
attack mode.
James, you said the zombie
Yeah, but
deck.
Sasuke already
If you
does
have
that.
that, please send it to
Yeah,
me. I would like to
But
see
then
it.
again, that's too clear. But that's
I'm gonna
being
get
able
back
to
into the
clear
commentary.
2 spies in one turn, as opposed to waiting a turn for each spy to be taken down if you had Spear Soldier. So
Sure.
now this turn, both cards can be taken. as I'm going to assume the skill dart just going to take out the Grandmaster if possible, and that'll slow down Taz.
Very relevant here that it's the assailant and not the
Yes.
spear soldier.
Yep. So let's see if Taz can start to go on the offensive here. He can definitely take out one of those monsters for sure. I would presume I would take out a spy in this situation.
Oh,
Oh,
Don't
that's
have
a
to shoot.
great draw. So you know that the assailant's now going to take down a spy. Blade Knight's definitely going to take down that skilled Dark Magician.
And now Heavy Storm does not answer this board anymore.
Blade Knight will swing the skilled Dark Magician, take out 100. Assailant's going to put that spy to attack mode, and Mr. Big Needle will take 300, dropping down to 7,600.
so
What's up,
Tastas
guys?
is in a
So,
good spot here, but
Lucas sent me
Noodle
the
has some time
zombie deck
to draw
off
himself
stream,
out of
so
this.
take a look at that
And
real
that
quick.
snatch steal is
Wow,
quite fragile.
that is something way different than I would have ever expected.
If there's any form of spell
wow.
trap removal here on Mr. Big Noodle's end is really going
That
to
is
turn the
something
stool
else.
around.
I guess this is the deck
Well,
that
not any.
won the
Heavy
most
Storm
recent
would still keep Blade Knight with the highest
format
attack.
format library tournament. So
Although the
I
spy
was
would
not
be able to
expecting that
repel the
right there.
Blade Knight,
That's definitely something different.
even with Necro Valley gone.
Enough life points, like you guys said, that this game's not over yet either.
Christian
It
says learning a
definitely
bunch.
isn't.
I've been working on his
And Royal Decree going.
Whereas you
And
can flip
Added
them.
the
It sounds like you're on the right
Yeah, that
side.
kinda, yeah, that's a misplay.
opted not to chain the Royal Decree, and it's going to get banished.
I mean, maybe they want to flip top deck their Mirror Force. But yeah, likely misplay.
So
Either that
no
or-
extermination only works on set spell and trap. So if the Royal Decree was chained there, then it would not destroy the Royal Decree.
Yep, and that's one back, and that's
Yeah, Mr.
one
Big
less
Noodle.
back row that Taz would have to play with if that's up.
He said, "Wait,
Oh.
uh-oh." He's gonna be like,
I think he's realizing.
Uh-oh.
Too late for that
Uh-oh.
now.
It might be too late considering he's already made the action.
yeah."
Yep.
For sure.
But I could have
looks like-
chained.
Yep, and it looks like Mr. Big Noodle is just realizing this now, but it's going to cost him because we could naturally assume that the set card Taz has is probably going to be a trap card, and that would be one less card Mr. Big Noodle would have to worry about.
And that could be like, if that would be a judgment.
Yeah, that could be a very crucial mistake.
And we've seen cases where we've seen like at least one other trap card would be played on top of Triple Decree. I mean, I know Kyle Duncan did that with when he had his Shonen Jump Championship win in Philadelphia. He
Yes,
played
he
Triple
could.
Royal Decree and one Mirror Force, and then when he went to Hamilton, I believe he changed it up, took one Decree out and replaced it with a Sakuretsu Armor. So it's not like Mr. Big Noodle has no more traps left in the deck. It's hard to assume that, but nonetheless, that's still a big blow.
But also, against these warrior decks, it's not unheard of to set in Triple Decree, but still leave the Torrential and the Mirror Force, or at least the Mirror Force, because it's just so strong.
Mr. Big Noodle now backed up against the wall, taking a Sinister Serpent back as a Nobleman of
Yeah, the
Extermination.
injection is
So that's
definitely-
just going to show
Let
that
David talk real quick.
Mr. Big Noodle really doesn't have much, and they're probably going to have to set that Sinister Serpent.
Yeah, the
But
injection
Taz
fairly
has
is
got Mr. Big Noodle right where he wants him now.
definitely something I
Noodle
would
still
have
has a lot of time.
considered.
That life total is a big buffer, but that Kaiko is.
Wait,
Whoa! What? No!
Well, I guess there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
mix
the
in
Kaiko
there.
can target.
Necro Growly's on the board, so he can't banish that Sinister Serpent. And Nobleman Extermination on Taz's graveyard should be banished, because I was hit by Nobleman Extermination, funny enough.
No, that was Smashing Ground.
Yeah.
Oh, Smasher Ground, sorry. So,
So
Sinister Serpent comes back.
So Lucas sent me the zombie deck, and I took a look at it, and yeah, that's something that I definitely wouldn't have anticipated seeing it built like that. That's way different than I was anticipating.
Credit to Pui, a viewer of the stream, who sent it to me to send it to Ryan.
Set monster, which we know is a Sinister Serpent with a back row. On Mr. Big Noodle's side, Taz got 3 menacing monsters. Man, got to get rid of that Snatch Steal, and that would completely turn the game in Mr. Big Noodle's favor, but can't find that spell trap removal.
May not have any.
That's true. He's also already burned through 1 Missile Space Typhoon.
Hey,
and
Prince,
an Omen
welcome
of
back to the stream.
Extermination
Thanks
already.
for hanging out with
Might
us.
not play heavy.
We're going to be here until the end
Yeah,
of this
you might
tournament.
not just because you have that, and that's
I
always
assume
the
Breaker's
case.
in there though, right?
Yep, and that's always the case. If how much spell trap removal do you actually want to play with, considering you have a Royal Decrees in there as well? You usually want to wear that down a little bit. As Blade Knight Graveskeeper saying, like, gonna go directly. Mr. Big Noodle just now lamenting, saying, "Man, I should have got Spear Soldier instead of Assailant." Now that's starting to come back and bite him.
It's interesting.
I think
It's
Assailant was the right choice at the time.
I think so. I do think it was the correct decision. But yeah, definitely punished him in this scenario.
It's interesting to see Nobleman of Extermination being played so much. I haven't really seen that too much in the past tournaments. But I guess maybe it's a response to just all the warrior decks running around and the Solemns
It's
and
actually
stuff.
it's really good against Turbo too.
It's really good against Turbo.
Yeah, because most of their cards, you just want to see these cards going. Like if you're going second as a warrior player, you just want to see as many like 1-for-1 trades as possible, and they're just going to T-set. So you want to make your Blade Knights and your MST and your Nox or whatever. You just want to power through their back row, and if you hit like a Regeki break on their back row and they can't chain it or use it, then they just have to banish all of them, and that's like a really big loss for them. You just want to force 1-for-1 trades.
Yeah,
that makes
I've
sense.
been swearing by Dust Tornado, but when you're on the draw against Turbo as warrior, Extermination is just better.
Reinforced with the army now. We're going to get Exiled Force. It's got a tribute to take out Gravekeeper's Assailant.
Threatening lethal here.
Yes, both these cards are going to get Taz game if they score. I'm going to imagine that's not the case, considering they didn't scoop. But maybe I could be proven wrong here. Does Mr. Big Noodle have?
I mean,
Just giving Taz a moment to perhaps disconnect. Nope, doesn't happen. You
That's
gotta
not-
play to your out, kids.
It's going to be game, and the match goes to Taz x Taz as a well-timed snatch steal completely turns the game in his favor.
interesting to see the mind control sided in against the warrior. I think it's a little bit questionable.
That's not
Yeah, very questionable.
advisable.
We'll check out
Noodle seems
P-Track.
just
Oh,
as
he-
nice as we are.
He actually talks
He
about it. Yeah.
Don't copy.
Meant to side them all out.
Sorry, what did you say, Scully?
P-Tranks versus don't copy.
Oh, that's a great one.
Prince
Oh,
says,
we're already
by the
seeing
way,
what
did you
this
see a deck I sent
zombie
you?
deck
Noble
does.
Extermination seems good, but you kind of have to
Doomed
wait.
and
to
try
feel
going for a really big power play.
Prince,
that's actually
I
working
saw that
too.
you sent me a
That's
deck.
crazy.
I exited
Liquid is a
out. Could you
genius.
resend it to me? And I
Yeah,
can
he
pull
makes
it
really
up?
good decks.
Some changes from Delinquent's deck here as Spirit Reaper was not included in Delinquent's list.
Yeah, that's P-Trend for you. He will do things like that.
Yeah, I love P-Trax and INC1 in that regard. We always bring a twist.
Scully, do you have another match for us?
P-Tranks versus don't copy.
All right, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is really powerful.
Oh, that's busted.
And he's going to attribute it probably, right?
Yeah. This
Oh,
is,
that's a crazy good play.
disgusting.
It's down a lot of card advantage, but that's a pretty good play, getting some of it back.
And now we get to see these zombies in action.
Oh, nice. We get to see the zombie deck play him. The Tribute to the Doomed is a card I've definitely thought a lot about. Just the fact it can hit face downs.
Man,
Yeah,
Chaos
it's
Monsters
actually
are so strong. Like, that was so much stuff to go on to end up with that Ryukoki out, and then it's just like one Chaos Sorcerer completely swings it.
I'm gonna message Magical Yata now. He always swore by Tribute to the Doomed.
Who is this?
Oh, that
Magical Yata.
Magical
Everyone
Yata.
was always making fun of him.
I'm
But
gonna go
yes,
into
is
what
the
a Lily
tribute
here.
to-
Oh, you're gonna go into a. Oh,
So-
you're gonna go for a bigger guy.
A misplay by Don't Copy of putting the Chaos Sorcerer in attack mode against the zombie duck.
Yep.
Yep. That's going to get Giant Rat into Pyramid Turtle. Pyramid Turtle's going to ram it. Going to ram Ryu Koki that just has 100 more attack. Take out Chaos Sorcerer. And again, Don't Copy's right back to where he was a turn ago, having to deal with Ryu Koki, but has significant card advantage.
And it looks like 2 of those cards are Thunder Dragons, though.
Yeah. That is to be the case. That is correct. And now Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer, will come down on P-Tran's side. Magician of Faith will get back Graceful Charities to get rid of those 2 Thunder Dragons in hand, I'm going to presume. Ooh, Scapegoat's going to block that. So a little bit of security on Don't Copy's end.
So this is the counter to this zombie duck is goats and metamorphosis. Like, really gives it a hard time.
Yeah, this matchup seems rough. How does the zombie deck beat goats?
Skill drain. It's like the only way we can even deal with Thousand Eyes.
Yeah, this is bad.
Great counter.
The historic issue of the zombie deck is it has no zombies that can deal with Thousand Eyes Restrict.
Yeah, it's kind of the rock paper scissors of the format. It's like as goats and meta fall out of favor, zombies gains power, but then it shifts back the other direction once the zombies become popular.
And a great turnaround for Don't Copy now, firmly in control with card advantage. 4 cards in hand to P-Trans 1. And P-Trans just going to say, nope, I'm done with this. We're going to go.
That is
Damn.
how powerful Thousand Eyes Restrict is in this matchup.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to get a better look at P-Tran piloting the zombie deck that was able to win the last event, but nonetheless, a great job to really
So
take
we have-
control of that game.
John Wick against Snatch Steel.
Great.
That sounds like a fun match.
I mean, I don't think we have too many to choose from at this point.
Yep. Both players already finished a game and into siding. And it's been a pretty solid day so far here for GOATformat.com as we lead up to the World Championships coming up.
It's a pretty cool looking
In
belt.
October, get a shot at the belt.
It's so
Yep.
nice to see so many people supporting GOATformat.com as well.
Yeah, shout out
38
to
players. That's a lot.
every tournament entry here today. It's all Patreon pay tournament players, so that does go towards supporting the prize pool for the World Championship and helping us run the website.
That belt is beautiful, by the way, Scully. I love that belt.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool. I don't think I'm American enough to appreciate it fully, but it's pretty cool.
Well, we got a former professional wrestler on here with us, so
This is true.
Is that a
Is that-
threat?
is that David?
Because I'll shut up.
No, that would be me.
Were you in wrestling in high school?
No, he's talking about professional wrestling. I was, but he's talking about professional wrestling as in like the TV wrestling.
You were a TV wrestler?
Yes, I was.
Where can I see?
Where can I see? I am on YouTube around there. My ring name was Mr. Saki. Saki spelled Saki.
Oh,
so you
man.
can just type that up on YouTube. You'll find me. Around.
I'm 100% doing that. I'm actually live streaming this on my channel too, so we're definitely gonna pull up.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So
Mr. Saki?
my character. Yeah, Mr. Saki. Saki. My character is based off of Mr. Chow from the Hangover series. If anybody has ever seen that movie series. Yeah, that's what my character is loosely based off of. The sneaky Asian guy that you're not supposed to trust ever, but is supposed to be comedic, funny, but very frail, and gets his butt beat all over the place.
So if anyone is wondering why no one is talking about the game, I think we will pull up the same YouTube clip.
And if you want to hear more
I'm having
Yu-Gi-Oh,
trouble finding it,
wrestling crossover, check out Gate Guardian's podcast where he interviews Thunderpants.
Yeah, it Thunderpants on a
Oh,
couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was Alex
Thunderpants.
Vance. I think he's celebrating his birthday either today or yesterday.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Yep, and Alex now also in the professional wrestling ranks,
Is he
doing very
really?
well for himself. Yeah, he's also a professional wrestler now, and we talked about that briefly on my podcast about wrestling. Our theme was of how like wrestling kind of you develop a persona in wrestling and how that also translates into Yu-Gi-Oh as where we see like a lot of like the popular Yu-Gi-Oh figures today have like some kind of persona or some kind of like character that they kind of reflect upon themselves, maybe like an accentuated version of themselves, and how that plays and also how it gets yourself recognized a bit more, because nobody really gets recognized if you're just stale, unless stale is your gimmick in a
Unless
sense.
you're just
But
really good.
what's that? Sorry.
If you're really good, you don't need personality.
Yeah.
I remember,
But
but
if you're not,
Alex
as
had
good.
Alex had an outsized personality for sure. He was definitely like one of the characters of the game for sure.
Yeah. But he's also a great player on top of that
He,
too.
I would say early on he was very gimmicky,
Yeah.
and then later on I think he discarded some of those like early ideas and kind of came into his own and became more competitive like years into the game.
He definitely did. He's a tough player in this. Also, Scully was also on the podcast. He was the first one to kick off 2021 before he invited me on to start doing commentary for goatformat.com. So he's on there too. But Chris Perovic and Dale Bolito, they also talk about Goat Format as well. So a great podcast if you want to listen to them. And of course, I'm having Chris and Dale back on next week. So there's a sneak preview. I haven't broadcasted that out to anybody yet except here. So now you guys know.
So this is game 2, John Wick 1, game 1.
John Wick already short stacked, having to discard Don's Luke and Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke from the Delinquent Duo. But that's already 2 power cards from Snatch Steel's end. And taking out that Breaker is actually a very big deal for John Wick, especially since Breaker didn't exhaust its ability to use its counter. And not to mention a 19 beat stick, which gets over pretty much every single warrior minus a powered up Blade Knight. But Snatch Steel might have a solemn judgment to this, is my guess.
It's risky to protect the breaker here, because if there is a snatch steal from John Wick,
I
that
do
could
not
be
like this
the-
play at all.
Yeah.
You're up so much card advantage, just let it die.
Yeah, just take the 1-for-1.
Keep the solemn, like so you know how valuable that solemn's going to be against 3 cards.
Yeah, I agree.
Very much so. And you gotta wonder, does Snatch Steel have any more monsters in their hand as well, which is why they're trying to protect the breaker, or at least when you have the breaker on board, it kind of keeps the back rows at bay. Because I wouldn't want to set any back rows against a breaker unless I absolutely had to. But John Wick here with 9,000 life points has a lot of time to play with and doesn't need to rush the game.
It's
I
like
mean,
the
maybe
Solemn,
they have the Dust Tornado.
the
Yeah, I
Solemn
think
could
that's Tornado
answer.
behind it.
The Solemn could potentially answer anything that the Breaker is going to destroy. Like,
Mhm.
but clean 19 coming.
Yeah, this is turning out well. But that's yeah.
So Snatch Steel will set a monster before attacking with Breaker. Don't have to worry about Gore's MC of Darkness here. So Breaker can go right in, and 1900 is going to be eaten out of John Wick, putting him down to 71.
Maybe Snatch Steel just never worries about Snatch Steel.
That could
Maybe
be
not.
it.
Unless he has the Dust Tornado MST to it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to have a solemn set with a Dust Tornado or MST.
John Wick drawing to 4 cards to Snatch Steel's 3 in hand, but Snatch also has 3 cards set. Operating
But-
with a +2.
So what do you even grab here? Warrior Lady? Because unless the Blade Knight is 2000,
You got a
is this
blade
a bluff?
you got a
for
blade
Snatch?
over this Magician of Faith.
Right.
Snatch Steel informing John Wick has to wait maybe There could be another solemn judgment coming down on this one too.
It's the same one. He's just
So that's actually a snatch. Telling John Wick to protect themselves because John Wick is revealing information, and Snatch Steel could base their decision off of what they add if that happens. So
Now, what is Blade Knight going to go after? You guys are predicting a Magician of Faith set.
I'm not. I want to kill the Breaker if I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Blade Knight powered up to 2000. Will go after that Breaker. And it is gone. So Breaker is going to go down without popping a spell or trap card. Will this come back to, bite, snatch, steal? Oh, and a delinquent duel just to further add to the pain.
I like this. Nice sequencing.
Three cards in Snatch Steel's hands going to go down to 1.
if it is Faith, it's possible that John Wick can solemn the flip summon as well.
But I don't know. Snatch Steel has kind of alluded that there might be a Dust Tornado
Ooh.
MST set, right?
Big hit with Blackluster Soldier, and that would be really critical too if that set card is Magician of Faith, because that would be the light target. Soul Exchange. So that's going to indicate that there's likely going to be Monarchs that are in Snatch Steel's deck here.
Yeah, the Faith is just looking all the more likely.
Yeah, it's looking like it. That would...
Dust Tornado also probably potentially less likely. No, you wouldn't chain Dust there. MST though.
So it's an MST, so pretty much the same card.
So it
Takes
was the
out
MST
Cold
judgment set.
Yep.
Yeah, the judgment makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. Now Snatch Steel playing with 2 cards in their hand, 1 set monster to John Wick's Blade Knight, and a 1 card in the back row. Sorry, 1 card in the hand. Is that going to be a Magician of Faith? I would assume a Pot of Greed would come back to the hand if so, but they haven't flipped it up yet, so perhaps it is not.
Yeah. Right.
Zombriro the Dark, the hard counter to Blade Knight coming out with 2100 attack, gonna take it down, 100 life points out. What a huge card to use against John Wick.
So what's set?
Yeah, that's a very good question now.
Probably
Oh, it's not
Serpent.
Sangan.
Could
Yeah,
be
Serpent, I
Sangan.
guess.
Yeah, Sangan could be too, but you think he would just go for damage.
I
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
fine, yeah. I would be fine flipping up Sangan at that point because I don't want to get that hit with no one across
Yeah, I
it.
guess Serpent. Yeah, I agree.
If it was Sangan, he would lose though, right? To BLS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would. That would be the other one, or a DD Warrior Lady. Those are the 2 cards that you'd not want Sangan to be face up for. John Wick with a set card, Snatch Steel, 2 cards in
Could
the hand.
claim you're playing around Chaos Sorcerer as well if you don't flip the Sangan.
That is
So-
true.
Sambaira cannot attack directly.
That is true, and it is at 1900 because it
Look
took
at the
down
face.
Blade Knight in battle.
There we go. I mean,
There's
Mobius
no
would
one
be
across
good
out
here.
yet.
Yeah, 2 Noblemen, BLS, Sangan as well. But
I'm guessing
Perhaps doesn't have
Soul
any
Exchange
of
was
those.
thrown away because of
Is that the
there's no
Serpent then?
tribute fodder.
Yeah, I gotta
for
wonder
it.
if that's
so no
bait,
tribute monster
but
in Snatch Steel's hand.
Even
That's
so,
why
Young
this is-
Sexy can fall into
Soul
it.
Exchange was
because
thrown
they've
away.
got the Tsukiyomi in
Well, if
hand,
you
so
have
they
to
can
choose
just easily
one
take
of them,
that bait.
then
Yep.
you
sure.
choose the tribute. What's the Serpent, right? To keep.
Yep.
There's
There
could be a tribute.
Yeah, and if
It's one
Snatch
of
Steel
them.
has that set monster,
I
if
think
that
it's
is
safe to
Sinister
say
Circle, well, then that's the tribute
if,
fodder for the Monarch itself. So I can, again, another reason why Soul Exchange will
Yeah,
probably go
sure.
away. John Wick with 2 cards in his hand, a set back row, decides to set another one. Playing very passively so far, not being able to get a monster to try to puncture through this Sombrero the Dark, but at the same time can at least breathe a little bit knowing that he can't attack him directly with it.
So this game is quite close if you If you claim that the Sombira isn't very valuable, it's very close. Risky
probably
setting 2
Yeah, that is
into the
risky.
Soul Exchange deck. Yeah, scary.
Thunder Dragon gets discarded and going to add at least one more copy, presumably 2.
So I would want to summon a Thunder Dragon here.
This wouldn't be a bad idea to push the issue and at least put John Wick on a clock, especially if that set card is Sinister Serpent. It hasn't been moved in a while, but that might be an even better option is Graceful Charity hits the board. Would you
this
Solemn
is a
Judgment?
bluff.
Well, that means that he had either TD or Graceful in his hand last turn that he held.
Yeah, it's true.
Graceful. They
Yeah.
held
And he
Graceful.
does Solemn Judgment, and that probably would be a wise decision on John Wick's part.
But Thunder Dragon is scary here.
Yep. And you can at least tribute that set monster for Thunder Dragon. At least now start push the issue and put Wick on a clock. Because if this first attack goes through, you've got another turn, and Zombra the Dark can pretty much handle whatever monster comes out afterward.
Wow.
Oh,
Tribute
I was thinking,
Pyro.
yeah, if this set card is like Sangan or something. Oh, I guess he doesn't want to do it anyway, but yeah, it makes sense to do that one.
I mean, I would still tribute the Sangan anyway if that was Thunder Dragon. So very peculiar. We don't know what that set monster is now. Hard to predict what it is, but
Yeah.
1600 goes through on John Wick, putting him down to 1400. So one more direct attack from Thunder Dragon will do the job. Let's see if John has a response, and he does with Skilled Dark Magician.
I mean, maybe it's as simple as just a very small flip, like a Mimic. But I would flip it, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you can flip it and tribute for Thunder Dragon, but Mirror Force takes down the Skilled Dark Magician,
True.
and that last back row is going to save John Wick, or will it? John Wick taking a little time before that with that attack, and it is all tied up at 1 apiece as John Wick admits defeat to the Thunder Dragon play. And I'm really curious to see what that set monster was. I really want to ask Snatch Steel, what was that set monster at the entire time? Because we made so many guesses, but it doesn't look like either of them are right. So what could that set monster could have been?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Serpent.
No, you don't tribute the Sombira if it's Serpent.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to do it like that.
Yeah, that's what we thought originally. But just a faith he would have flipped it up a while ago. Sangan, unless he wanted to protect himself from
even Kinetic Soldier, you would have flipped.
Yep, could have done the same with that.
Tsukiyomi.
Yeah.
You could have made.
Well, Tsukiyomi could have flipped Zombra down,
Yeah.
and flip it back up, and then Zombra.
Yeah, that would have been good. It's not
I mean, Kinetic makes sense. I mean, I can see you being pretty passive with it. With how low his life points we're getting, it's pretty much an auto win if you ram into it.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Sure.
And it wouldn't have been.
I don't know if it's like. I don't know if I would have done that still, but I guess it makes some sense. But I mean, there's not very many monsters I can think of in my head that make any sense. Period.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because flipping the Kinetic Soldier wouldn't be kill shots. So it's definitely a question of what that set is, and I don't know if the chat has any idea of what that set card could be, or if they're offering any opinions of what that set monster is. Nonetheless, it will remain a mystery for a while. We're headed to Game 3. Both players 1 game win apiece. Dave Bowie, Gay Guardian 44 here, along with Lucas Gustafsson, Moxie's Ryan Spicer, and Nick Palermo, aka Skelly. Thank you for joining us here on a Go Formats for our Patreon tournament. And John Wick will start off with 2 back rows and a set monster to open up his turn.
Scully, can you hear me? Do you want me to hold the Taz AJ game until we finish watching this?
Yeah, because this will be over soon, so you might as well.
I'm gonna tell him to do that just so we
Good
can
call.
match in.
Trap Dust Shoot comes right off the bat for John Wick. Probably one of the best starts that you could have against your opponent. Trap Dust Shoot. Knowledge is power. Knowing that hand really helps you be able to dictate the game.
So John Wick, maybe typing it out for us. Torrential Tribute, Raigeki Break, Heavy Storm, Creature Swap, the zombie goes back, and SOL means Soul Exchange, perhaps?
So, little banter going on between the two before card finally goes back.
I mean, looks like there's only one monster, so. Unless Sol means something else.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that could be. With the Soul?
The Soul Exchange,
Oh,
maybe.
okay, that could be. The way the decision
So
has been made.
the other cards are quite bricky here. This is a
Bunch.
typical spot where you have multiple back row in the storm. So how do you sequence this? Don't want the warrior player to get off the hook and burn the storm too early. But
Yep.
sometimes it is correct to just take the 1-for-1.
Sometimes you have to if you have to start committing back row to yourself as well. But let's see what Snatch Steel is going to do. This, I mean, they can also set the Heavy Storm and then make John Wick think it's a torrential tribute, so it doesn't go anywhere. And then if they commit more back rows afterwards, knowing that they don't want to get rid of their own torrential, thinking it's a torrential anyway, but really a Heavy Storm. So there are plays.
That's a typical thing, especially in this exact scenario, as you're saying, setting the storm.
Is the real question here.
Do you have the Raigeki break and the creature swap, if I interpret John Wick's notes correctly?
Yeah, that is
But
also
those
correct.
are also, if there is a soul exchange, I don't mind them having one monster, and they can't ever add a second one because of the torrential.
That's true because at this point, if you know the torrential set, if I were John Wick, I wouldn't summon another monster at all. At this point,
Yeah,
I would just keep it at skilled dark. So it seems advantageous not to play torrential tribute at this point and just eat the hit, and that's exactly
yeah.
what's going to happen here.
So you could claim that this is a fine standstill for burn the back row of them, especially torrential, before
Mhm.
that happens.
Yep.
So it's not obvious.
It just really depends on what clock decides to tick first for Snatch Deal. Able to contend with the skilled Dark Magician in this matter. So John Wick indeed will set a second card, knowing that it's going to be a 3-for-2 if one of those set cards are Heavy Storm.
It could be the case that they set like something absolutely mad,
Mm-hmm.
like Heavy Storm Soul Exchange Creature Swap.
And it's a
Whoa.
snatch steal. Oh, that's going to
But
sting.
this is going to be a Raigeki break.
Yeah, this has to be. Oh, and it was the
Discarding
card
Soul
that was
Exchange.
just set.
Oh,
yeah,
CS
sorcerer.
is Chaos Sorcerer, not Creature Swap.
So
My
it is
bad.
torrential, heavy storm, and creature swap are the set cards.
No. CS
Oh no.
meant Chaos
Chaos
Sorcerer, not
Force.
Oh,
Creature
chaos
Swap.
sorcerer.
That
Oh,
was
I'm
a
sorry.
misinterpretation from my side.
Okay. Oh, I see. I got it now.
So we still have the Soul card set, whatever that is.
You
Soul
got it mixed up
Exchange.
in there.